News, I'm Sheila Tembor.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They are being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same
and the
National
Senate,
Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Baba should disown these experts and say they went there on the, because he keep on telling us that these experts you came from Dubai and you found them there already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of Parliament, they go to State House, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did Parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official.
Okay.
My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante
We will
sana.
always be here. The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do.
Like now, you abandon, of course, the narrative of Wheelbarrow, Mutomjengo, Mamamboga, and all those, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's in itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning. Huh? Am I even here? Has the rapture happened and we didn't know? Good morning.
Good morning.
Bas, ebu sema tena.
Good morning, how are you?
Very good, fine, thank you. Yes.
Good to see you.
Never to be left on fresh.
Thursday.
Where? It is actually Thursday.
Thursday. It's Thursday the what? The 7th.
It's the 7th of May.
Yes.
I'm just letting anybody know who did not know that today's date is the 7th of May. May is the 5th month of the year.
Yep.
It's 4 months after January.
Yep.
I just thought I'd let you know. And the month comes in 30 or 31, or in some cases, 28 or 29 day cycles.
And if it's so difficult, you can just remember to count it because we were taught that in nursery rhymes. I'm
just saying. In case anybody was a little bit confused about what the days are looking like.
Confusing to you?
Yeah.
Don't get confused.
Ours is just to help you out to understand a certain number of things.
Mambo ndio hiyo.
Babu umebeba bag.
Let me tell you. Leo mniache tu.
Okay.
Leo mniache. I changed the bag, so I'm confused.
So it's not just a thing about us.
No.
It's not just us. Even you guys are like that.
You change bags and you forget things in the other bag. So yeah. Happens. I don't know. Me, I love bags.
Okay. Sawa. Tumeestablish uko salama.
Niko poa, uko aje?
Mi niko sawa. Niko poa.
You got the memo? Black on black today, eh?
Yes, we understood.
Nice.
It's nice to be in sync. Kabisa. Uko poa. And then Joyline goes and wears yellow. You're the sun. We see you. It's okay.
Yellow.
No problem. If hii haujaongea leo, mi si leo. Nini mbaya? Siku haiwezi anza kama hauja shout kidogo ama kitu kama hiyo.
Njaa.
Oh, ni njaa. Oh, please, somebody help Evelyn, because now, the day cannot start.
Evelyn, how good or bad is your metabolism?
Usipocheza juu ya meza. Usipocheza juu ya meza, hatuwezi anza kipindi. She's trying. How good is her metabolism? I actually think metabolism is like, whew, it sees a waru. Whew,
yeah.
And then it goes, Ama? She said no.
Explain that.
She said no. I left her going to eat warus yesterday.
Okay.
That's why it's still in my head. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. And now that we've established that everybody's okay and that we're getting into it, if you're not okay, that's okay to say as well. Yeah. If you're starting off the day and feeling a little bit, a certain type of way, let me tell you, look for one thing that you can be grateful about even as you start the day today. I am telling you, the seismic shift that can happen as a result of you looking for things to be grateful for is unbelievable. I mean, sometimes you wake up and you're just down in the dumps and you're finding things to complain about. Look for it. If you spend your time looking for that, even if it's one thing that you can be grateful for, I'm telling you, it does a thing on your brain. It kind of resets you. And that gratitude spirit actually levels us off in a totally different direction. So if you're feeling a little bit under today and you feel as though maybe the day is not looking too good, take hope in the fact that if you're here and your heart is beating and you're breathing, that there's a reason for you to be. So you can take advantage of that today. So there is my little bit of a pep talk as you're getting into Thursday, the 7th of May. This is the Situation Room. And Dennis Aseto is here with Ndu Ifoma Okoh. So somebody said I should tell you guys my full name.
Yeah.
You see how you can't say Ndu or you can't spell Ndu. Ndu has been spelled with an A, an H, an apostrophe, an E, double O, double U. They've put 2 H's. They've
Added
put
a
2
K.
D's. You know, added a KU, added a TA, added everything to the name. Now, and that's just the 3-letter name that you guys have complicated. Now, if I tell you my full name, for which Ndu is the short form? I don't know what's going to do. Ezio Kubundu. That is my name. That's my full name. My first full name. Well done.
Doing well.
Ezio Kubundu. So Ndu Ifoma is my middle name. And Okoh, of course, is my surname. Ezio Kubundu Ifoma Okoh. So Ndu is the last 3 letters of that name.
That's how easy you made it for us, and you're still butchering it.
Can you imagine? I've removed, my name has 12 letters and I've just given you 3. Now you can imagine if I was one of those people. And no, if you can say Tchaikovsky, you can say Ezio Kubundu. Now if I was walking around saying Ezio Kubundu.
You can say lasagna.
Exactly.
It is not lasagna.
If you can say lasagna and it doesn't have a Y.
Yeah. The only statement with the useless G.
So that's, I was just letting you know that's what it is. And you might ask me what it means. Ezioku in my language is truth. Ndu means life. Bu is a connecting word. Ezioku bundu. So truth is life. Jacinta, are you happy? I've told them. So that should be fun for you. Just a fun fact this morning. And as we get into Thursday, let's tell you some of the conversations that we will be having today. Sawa.
Yes, sir.
We're going to start it off with foreign policy and, you know, kind of a diaspora expert conversation today in the person of Ahmed Hashi. He'll join us at 7 o'clock today. What are we going to be looking into? A myriad of things, but then what it allows us to do with foreign policy expert Ahmed Hashi is Kenya's diplomacy on a scale. Are we a trustworthy ally? And it depends on who you're talking with. Whether you're speaking with the West, whether you're speaking with development partners, whether you're speaking with fellow African partners, where is Kenya at the moment? And what are some things that what are some lessons that actually can be drawn from would-be gaffes or would-be opportunities? And who's responsible for putting that entire portfolio together? But where Kenya sits on the current global dispensation and some things that have been happening over the last few weeks, collaborations or not, support or not. We'll look into that conversation with Hashi at 7 o'clock. The Member of Parliament for Suba South constituency is Caroli Omondi. He's part of the Linda Mwananchi group. We're going to ask questions about whether it's keeping government in check or is it a group that's now trying to sway people away from the current government of the day. What exactly are we looking at here? Mweshimi Omondi joins us at 8 o'clock to have that conversation. And then at 9 o'clock, former nominated Senator Sylvia Kasanga is the president of the Architects Alliance. And we're going to be looking at clearing the way, safety versus property rights. We know that there were a number of demolitions that took place because they were said to be on riparian land. It's not the first time that this has happened in Kenya. It has happened several times, and it continues to be a thing where you see that waterways are actually blocked, that riparian land should actually be left clear, that you shouldn't erect anything on them. But who gives the go-ahead for them to be built in the first place? Somebody's given an okay, and then it stays within the same entity to bring them down. Let's look at some of these things with Sylvia Kasanga at 9 o'clock, clearing the way, safety versus property rights. That's what our conversations look like today. I want to say a very big welcome to you and thank you for joining us already in the room as you do. Let's talk, and you say hello to us. The live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X this morning. And saying good morning to our audience on KTN and everybody who tunes in across radio around the country and the world. This is the Situation Room. We will comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable uncomfortable. We'll have those conversations that many don't want to have. It may seem boring to you, but then it's a tack in this series of how you're moving on up. Sawa sawa. That's what we're doing today. Bado tuko Asmara.
Tuko Asmara. You know, having fought for 30 years, to be independent from Ethiopia. And then since 1997, there is no written constitution that governs the country. Just outside Asmara, there is the graveyard. And you look at all that, and still Asmara today is considered to be one of the closed-off countries from the rest of the continent, pretty much. You know, a few people go to Asmara. There is a documentary that was done by one Wodemaya from Ghana. They're just looking at Asmara. Right now, it's trying to open up its borders to allow more people to get inside. But as you get in, even the people themselves know little about the continent and other countries.
So, like, outside of Eritrea, there's, like, you know, no understanding of what happens
of what happens across, you know, because you also look at infrastructure, internet that would enable people to learn more is not there. It is not proper connectivity, so people are pretty much just closed in. I told you, if you want to go there, what do? Don't bother going there with your Visa card. Just find a way of getting hard cash. But good thing with that is the streets of Asmara are actually very, very safe.
Interesting.
Very, very safe. And architecture as well stands out. It's called the Little Rome because of the architecture that is in the country. But let's go to the proverb. Okay. You see, they say, the woman you make sacrifices for can turn around and tell you that she did not force you to. She will not be far from the truth.
Where? There's so many interpretations in that.
Pick your best.
You doing good is not it's not how do I, in English, it's not by force, essentially.
Not by force.
It's not by force, but you do it because you can or you should. It doesn't mean that then you must be recognized for it. That the person that you do good to might as well, they could turn around and slap you in the face, but it doesn't take away the authenticity of the good that you have done. That you can do good whether it is appreciated or not. That you should also then face the reality that you're doing good can actually be thrown back in your face, but it doesn't stop you from actually doing it.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of whether you are appreciated or not, keep on doing the good. Because the person might not appreciate it, but the world will know, and your inner self will be at peace that you did your part. So it's the other party to deal with how they feel.
Yeah.
You know, so goodness transcends feelings.
Yeah, it's true. Wow. Man.
But that does not apply to the political class.
It had to come at some point. We're never too far away from
let me
that.
tell you, it is not a favor. You must, you shall.
You must.
Tumeletea barabara nkupigia makofi, toka hapa, enda leta barabara ingine.
Now, why are you angry? Cannot be looking so fine and then just be angry again in the morning. What is it?
Good morning. It's not being angry.
You see how I pass my compliments?
I see. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say good morning to everybody. Now that just getting, I'm still thinking about the layers of that proverb and the ways in which it's applying to me in more than one. And I think that's the beautiful thing about our culture and our tradition as Africans, is that it is so layered.
Yeah.
There are so many things that we get, whether it is how we speak, whether it's the intonation in the words, whether it is our dress, our language, our food, that meanings are so layered, and that you can look at one thing and imagine that it is just this, but that there's so many things that you can get from it. I am just so excited about the times whereby that tradition and that culture will be combined with a modernism that allows us to be authentically African, whereby we are still moving the world. I long for a time, and I think that we can continue to make the inroads into that in the things that we do, in work that we do. So that is my hope and prayer. But try not to get too deep. As you say, good morning to you today. Our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. And we know that some of you are listening silently as you're going where you're going this morning. So thank you for being here as we do. Let's say a quick good morning to you and where you're tuned in from. Tell us. You may be going to bed. You may be waking us up with us this morning. Good to have you in the room. Kia Arie Peters tuned in from Mombasa today and says, take time to be thankful for everything that you have. You can always have more, but you could also have less. Voila. That's it. I mean, as a couple of days ago, feeling really down in the dumps. I mean, you knew it. I was an angry black woman. But I thought, you know what? You can be grateful for some things. You can be thankful for some things. So let's, that's a good lesson for us, Peter. Robert Mbogo says, good morning from Mombasa. Leo says, hello, Princess Ndu and Aseto. A nation of wonders. Education failed. Health failed. Other sectors in ICU. But we have a loose 40 million for anyone who sings praises for Shah and affordable housing in a film.
By the way, let this get to the cabinet secretary. I was in hospital yesterday. Shah did shut up on me.
Shah, shut up?
Yeah, shut up on me.
Shut up on you? Okay. As we live and breathe.
Yeah, it's just a feedback mechanism. Shah, shut up on me yesterday.
He was there. He was in the hospital. Nobody. Come on. I don't think even the paid propagandists, those ones who are receiving money, they know it is not. Even I don't. It would be detrimental to lie about something that regards health. Onto life. If the thing doesn't, it just doesn't.
No, we don't accept it.
Kisa Daniel says, good morning from the Pearl of Africa. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Zurich is where Wairimo Wajeso is this morning. Good morning to you. The Zurich for Germany or the Zurich for Switzerland? Munich is Germany. The Zurich for Switzerland or the Zurich for Belgium? On the border. Anyway, Jimmy Munuthi says, good morning, Spice family. Simon Kibiru says, good morning, Ndu and Aseto, tuned in from Sultan Hamoud, ready for the day's conversation. All the best, Asante Sana. Eric Owo says, good morning, guys. Jose Mahinda is tuned in this morning. Good morning, says Christina. Good morning to you. She says, the Mombasa senator asked a good question. Why should Kenya build a big refinery in Tanga, yet Changamwe oil refinery was leased to a foreigner? Are we buying love from other countries? Yikes. These are some of the questions that we'll be discussing with Hashi when he joins us at 7. Because I think that there's in the world of geopolitics, there is space for bilateral, unilateral, and multilateral relationships. There's space for international relations. There's space for that. But I also think that ducks in a row are necessary for each nation state to have in place before and while you venture out into these relationships. But before we get to it too deep, Christina, point noted. James Kamal says, Jumbo Situation Room, getting you loud and clear here at Forney, Texas. Clinton Sereti says, good morning, darlings. Well, good morning, darling. And how are you? Linda Ogola says, salut, mes amis. Salut à toi. Comment ça va? Kimiak says, good morning. Well, okay, he actually ended with good morning. He started by saying, nothing good will come out of Kenya Kwanzaa County. It seems to be that is your mantra. I don't know how long you're going to continue to preach this gospel, but okay. Good morning, Kimiak. Ryan Tula Omar says, good morning from Nairobi, Ndu and Aseto. You guys look nice in black. We are the men in black.
Yeah, you just need those glasses.
You just need those ones, yeah?
Those glasses.
Okay.
And time-shifting guns.
Bas, can we get guns?
Yeah,
for
by
killing
the way.
people. Okay, sorry. Did I say that out loud? Gosh.
You need to take people back to reality.
Sour.
There's a song. Back to life, back to reality.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun.
Tell you what, if we could get those guns,
Where? Say no to violence.
No, if we could get those guns, right? And that's our like line.
Yeah.
Shah is working. Capitation has gotten to schools. Yeah. Someone just goes back and it is not working.
You're very silly.
And after doing that, it's just that song. Back to life, back to reality.
Oh my God. Who are you?
Telling you things you can get from movies. Daddy. That would be an antidote to the BS we see in this country. Oh my God.
I swear, my Lord in heaven. Where? Woo. Okay. Okay. Raim Tuloma is in Nairobi. You know, we missed that.
Raim Tuloma is in Nairobi.
Yeah, in Nairobi again. Come and see us now. Please, even say hi one day like this.
I met a gentleman yesterday as I was going to hospital. After hospital, now you know I have to buy things for the sick, right? So I met this individual in a mall. He's called Paul. He's from Germany and watches The Situation Room. So Paul, shout out. And asante sana for keeping on and safe travels because he's traveling back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Safe travels too, sir. Obeds Oriku says, I need an explanation. This is a complaint that he made earlier.
Yeah.
I need an explanation. I'm in the office, working and healthy, but on my medical records on SHA, it shows that I have gone to hospital and been treated today.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
I'm in the office. Mimi Nico Hapa.
Yeah.
Lakini I look at the medical records na nimetibiwa leo for what? For a UTI and I'm being given an antibiotic and paracetamol. And my doctor is a Somali doctor. Yani, it's like a spirit. It's a witch. I don't know. I don't understand. Somebody is in the office.
Yes.
He checks his SHA medical records and he's gone ahead to post the screenshot. Today, you've been treated for a UTI. You even know who the doctor is, but you are seated in your office. You've been given antibiotics. This is the kind of nonsense that we are talking about. You're being treated, but you're not there.
Yeah.
How much money is being taken? Somebody is being paid, but the guy who is there is not there.
Let me tell you.
It's like film trick, man.
Will Smith, please.
Guy.
Talk to us.
Now, when you say these things, they sound ludicrous. But then the more that we think about it, it actually makes sense. Yeah. I don't think you guys heard what I said.
Yeah.
Obeds is in his office. He is checking his SHA records for something else. Only for him to find out that today, he's been treated for a UTI and he's been given medicine, painkillers and antibiotics.
Even knows the doctor.
Come on. That's the thing that we're talking about. Then you want to, in fact, get that
by
done.
the time a man is being treated for UTI, you're really, really sick.
Tell me. You tell me.
You're really sick.
And it's not me.
Anyway.
Washoga Toto says, good morning, my darling Nju and Co. Today is my favorite day, Thursday, and my firstborn's 28th birthday. Washo, you don't look a day over 25. And then you're telling us that you have a 28-year-old. My Lord. Okay. Yeah, it's because I've met her. Jennifer Atenyi says, well, happy birthday to him. Her? Firstborn's 28th birthday. Very happy birthday to your firstborn. We don't know he or she would have sang, but Jennifer Atenyi says, good morning, my beautiful people and Spice family. Me, I have no option than to be fine. My sister, you just have to plow with it, man. Roll with the punches. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Joseph Okondo says, good morning. Ndu and Aseto tuned in from Tudor, Mombasa. So Basira says, good morning from the dusty suburbs of Syokimau. Mashari and Njeri says, good morning, Ndu and Dennis. Mama Suluhu is not boarding. So Ruto decided to go to the members of parliament from Portland with love. With love to you. Mwangi Mike says, good morning. I'm a silent listener who always loves your show. My signal on 90.9 is off and being interfered with by 2 stations. Kindly let your technicians rectify the anomaly. What's going on? Are you in Nakuru? I assume that 90.9 is what you're looking into. All right, to be checked out. Tibbs Muge says, good morning, everybody. Good morning to you. Joseph Kimonge tuned in from Ibencho in Kisi. Julius Opanyi says, good morning, Watu Wangu. I'm plugged in. Keep it plugged in, brother. Vintage Oak says, hi, good morning, all. Set for the show. Karibu Sana. Collins Juma is here. Good morning, Team Spice. You're bragging about your name, and my president said your English is not that good. I'm not bragging about my name. I just told you what my name is.
Yeah.
There's a difference between statement and bragging. Red Fire says, good morning, Ndu and Aseto. Good morning, everybody. Bwangi Juma, good morning, Spice FM. How are you all this blessed morning? We all have a date with factual characters on the 2nd of August 2027. You almost made me say something bad on radio. I wasn't quite sure what you were saying, but okay. Alan Atieno says, good morning, tuned in from Kisumu Dala. Getting you round and clear from Oregon, says Anthony Gonjiri. Jennifer says that proverb is too Kenyan. Mtuflani says, good morning to the princess, the gentleman, and the squad. I'm telling you, we need to do something with that. That could be the name of a podcast. True. The Princess and the Gentleman. Okay. Ogutsu Ogambo says, who normally advises the head of state on diplomatic policies and matters?
Himself.
Well, that would, in a functioning state, that would be the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the many diplomats who are in that space. Nyareka says, good morning, tuning from Kisumu. Frederick is now greeting Nyareka. Young Jedi says, good morning, Team Spice. Bernard Kiniti says, good morning. Have you heard about the Hunter virus? Yes, I have. Ikae mbali na sisi kwa jina la Mungu kabisa. Amen. Matthew Iliala says, pahali nimefika maliza utoke. Okay. Yeah. Good morning, my good people. This is Luhimbo. Good morning. When I come to Nairobi, I will tell you, and please invite me, but with a full mask. Okay. And Max Oponde says, good morning, Njeri Aseto. Let's see what new drama for Kenya today. We might be building a refinery in Umoja. At this rate, my friend, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Justice is tuned in this morning. Tuned in from Waldai Ward in Belgut, Kericho. Good morning to you. Her name is Stacey Wamboi. This is what shows. Well, a happy birthday to Stacey. And Raskador says, good morning, Wana Spice. As Kenyans, we are really tired of this government. This is what you're saying. Yeah. Yes. Isakale says the princess and the gentleman has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Oh, we'll see what we can do with that. A very good morning to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Every morning we don't get tired. Honestly, it sounds like we're doing routine here, but truth be told is that we don't get tired of having you get into these conversations with us. So karibuni sana sana. All right, let's do that thing. Let's take a quick break and take a quick look at what's happening with weather traffic. We'll come back and look into the headlines. These ones you want to stick around for. Don't go away.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with Spice FM.
All right, we'll see partly sunny conditions in Nairobi this morning, currently at 15, and we'll see a high of 24. Looking into a mostly sunny Nakuru at 14, and it's 16 and cloudy into Njeri. At 20 is what we'll see happening into Mombasa this morning. So rather at 19 into Kisumu with a high of 28. And at 17 it is mostly sunny into Kakamega with a high of 28 as well. 25 and partly sunny into Mombasa. And at 26 it's mostly sunny in Malindi. Looking into Marsabit, 21 and sunny, and it's 20 into Kampala, 24 and mostly sunny in Dar es Salaam, and 6 degrees and cloudy into Johannesburg this morning. 27 in Lagos and mostly cloudy, 9 degrees and cloudy into London, and 21 into a sunny and windy Beijing. Wednesday night is cloudy in New York at 15. Coming into Thursday, we'll see a high of 21 and a low of 11.
Up your life. Traffic.
All right, what does it look like where you're coming in from this morning? If you're coming off of North Airport Road and heading in the Embakasi direction, there's a little bit of outbound traffic. There's inbound traffic as well. It's going to come and connect with what's going on around Cabanas, but not too crazy, all taken in stride. There is quite some traffic on the Thika Superhighway as you then come out through towards Kasarani and then through towards the Outer Ring Junction and then on towards the Pangani Underpass. That's about the worst of it for now. So if you're out, well done. If not, you might want to think about doing that now before then it gets a little bit crazy, but not expecting anything too much out of whack. Sawa sawa, let's talk. Spice FM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Online, mobile, and on radio. Twitter at SpiceFM KE. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning, everybody, and those who come into the room even after we said hello, please write on the protocols previously and set that we welcome you. Wherever we see you, yes, Leo and you blue. And those who are even tuned in from the land down under, thank you. It's fantastic that people from around the globe and right here in Kenya, around the continent, are tuning in to listen and be part of the conversation as well. Karibuni sana, right? And so, Kijana, tuned in from the land down under, Karibu Sana. All right, so let's look into the headlines. We're going to start on Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. Sulphur concerns. There's a picture there of experts, Opiyo Wandayi, who is the cabinet secretary for energy. Next to him is expert Lee Keyajue, who is the CS in MITI.
Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment.
Investment, Trade and Industry. Wherever you want to put the I and the T, it's okay. The sulphur concerns are fast. Kenya's decision to allow higher sulphur fuel may ease shortages, but it comes with a quiet everyday cost to public health. As the fuel burns, it releases more toxic fumes into the air, especially in crowded towns and cities. With every breath, people are exposed to pollutants linked to asthma, chest infections, and other breathing problems. Children, the elderly, and those with existing conditions face the greatest risk. Over time, constant exposure can strain the lungs and worsen overall health. The same sulfur that pollutes the air also eats into engines, leading to more frequent breakdowns and higher repair costs. While the quick fix policy may keep vehicles moving, it risks leaving many Kenyans both sicker and more vulnerable. So, is there a cost to easing? It kind of puts folks in a catch-22 situation. And, I'm going to be honest and say, I feel because here there is a demand to keep vehicles moving, to keep industries turning. But then it comes with a cost that what's available, and readily so, it may be cheaper and more available, but the long-term effects then make it more expensive. So what do you do in the meantime where this cheaper, more readily available fuel is there, and the other stuff that you would normally use is not? So what do you do as a nation? Do you take into consideration the health concerns of people? Combustible, then in the air, it's going to affect health. It's going to affect vehicles over time, whereby spare part repair is going to be more frequent, and that you may buy the fuel at a cheaper price, but then you will have to pay the price later in terms of maintenance of your vehicle. So which do you choose? And this is not a matter of pointing fingers at somebody and talking about incompetence, but this is a question of what decision do you make? It's a sulphur concern, and that's what's on the headline. According to Iraqi, from a health perspective, this is risky. The Economic Survey 2026 shows that respiratory diseases are among the leading health problems in the country. Introducing fuel with higher sulfur content only worsens air pollution, even without sulfur concerns, our air quality has not been ideal. Sulfur was one of the issues that affected the big cities in China, Beijing, Shanghai, whereby the smog was ridiculous. There was a smogometer, essentially, and that people would check. The way you check and see if it's raining, do I need to carry an umbrella? They would check and see what are the levels. Do we need to wear our masks? What do we need to do getting out into the city? But we know that also there was a lot of higher sulfur content petrol fuel that was being used by a lot of vehicles until we saw that was reduced significantly and the smog levels reduced.
It's the same story in India.
So these are the questions that you want to ask. It's a big headline. It's a concern, and to discuss it, I think it's necessary to do in a sober manner. Because what do you do? Do you fuel the nation, or do you think about the long-term effects of using a cheaper, more readily available fuel?
And you see, I think that story for me, the overarching question then is if more Kenyans find themselves inhaling air that is dirty, what does that mean to the country's healthcare system and treating Kenyans in the long run? It becomes more expensive for the government to treat its people because at some point we messed up on the fuel that came into the country. So you look at the bigger picture.
You do look at the big picture, or you should.
Bigger picture. It's not today, it's not tomorrow, it's in a few years to come. But how much will it take for the government to treat its people, especially in a system where inawaka lakini haiwaka?
Inawaka ama haiwaka. Ruto accused of ignoring Kenyan safety for the sake of trade deals. This is the thing here. And so is it trade deals on fuel, or is it trade deals where you say kichapo utaflogiwa ama wataflogiwa huku? Kitui leaders hit out at Duale over his arrogant camel remarks. Okay, you want to know what this was about? I'll tell you. A section of leaders from Kitui County have criticized Health Cabinet Secretary Aidan Duale over what they termed as insensitive remarks following deadly clashes between farmers and pastoralists from the northeastern region. The leaders termed Duale's comments, in which he appeared to mock the farming community, reckless and likely to inflame tensions at a time when more than 10 people have been killed in recent clashes. Duale sparked outrage over his remarks, boasting that all camels belonged to him and that he was untouchable. Ngamia yote ya Kenya ya wa Somali ni yangu, alafu mtadu.
Guess what we'll do? Hiyo ngamia yako ya Msomali hiyo ikuje kwa shamba yangu and it destroys my property, I know where to go. He's just made it so easy to prosecute him. He's made it so easy.
See, now, unfortunately, that gun analogy is suddenly sounding very...
Back to reality. What the hell, man?
Yeah, I know.
Who are these people we have in leadership? Now, who are these people we have serving us?
Man,
how do you just wake up and... I mean, this man should be worried that Shah is not working.
You would imagine that you have a little bit more to talk about than camels.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm just saying that some things... Remember I said yesterday that you need to wake up every morning and while you're brushing your teeth, taking a shower, getting your coffee, whatever, also make sure that the batteries in your brain to mouth filter are functioning. Or get new ones, or whatever it is that you need to do. Because the things that you say with your mouth actually can be incendiary. Come on.
I mean, you can do better, man.
Yeah, we can actually do much better.
And then you also, like, this is a very emotive matter right now because Kenyans have been killed.
In a place that they've never been killed like this before.
And for you to come and just spew such nonsense, I'm like, who raised you?
Not the camels.
The camels have better brains, if you ask me.
New faces joined the judiciary after JSC's historic picks, and I love this, that we saw people across board who were selected to be judges. Shout out to my friend Belinda Kello. Congratulations for, that selection that happened there. And we saw a variety of new judges. Some of the new judges: Justice Joseph Kipkoech Biomdo is the first trained military officer to transition to serving as a judge of the High Court. Justice Emmanuel Bita, appointed from the Attorney General's office. Justice Josephat Kuyoni, appointed from Parliament. Appointed from the Sports Disputes Tribunal is Justice Bernard Murunga. We've had a conversation with him, actually. Justice Patricia Leparasho, appointed from the Kenya Revenue Authority. Justice Lillian Suma, the first person from Kilifi County to serve in the Environment and Lands Court. Justice Winnie Molonko, a pioneer in the bar from Narok County. Justice Abdi Hassan, a pioneer for his community in the remote Griftu area of Wajir County. Justice Joyce Gandani, the first female judge from Kilifi County to sit in the High Court. I love this, that the variety then that's being applied to the judiciary is fantastic. And I think that we saw from these interviews that there's a variety of talent that has been picked on then to serve in this role. We wish them the very best in their appointments and that they can actually, interpret the law and apply, and that justice forever continues to be shield and defender. So, of course, there's that story of killer fumes. Low standard fuel poisons you with every breath it does. And then you have to ask the question whether Kenya has a choice at the moment. Gulf Energy at the center of yet another dirty fuel drama. Oh, my God. A wave of killings fuels femicide emergency calls. It was an emergency from the first time a woman was killed. I think death, it's an emergency the first time anybody is killed. And you have to ask these questions. Is there an appetite for femicide? Or are we saying that people have not dealt with their anger and it just happens to be, or a situation, it happens to be that a woman has died in this situation? It's such that death in this manner should not happen.
Should not happen.
Period.
Should not happen.
Gachagwa's health. Doctor reveals Ruto's call. Apparently, President William Ruto made a call to a doctor during the impeachment proceedings at the Senate for Gachagua to be treated. Mama, my friend is not feeling too well. Can you sort him out? Orengo Babu accused police of targeting supporters in Kisumu. Of course, they made a statement to the DCI yesterday and said, you know what? Come on, you guys are doing this thing. We don't like it.
Yeah.
Opposition wave slowly turning into tsunami against the incumbent. That's part of the conversation that we will have with Caroli Omondi when he joins us at 8 o'clock. Now, abortion has been declared illegal in Kenya. Don't question. ruling on abortion endangers women's lives and medics' freedom. And this is according to the opinion today by the executive director of Women Collective Kenya, Ruth Mumbi. And so she's saying, that rule is going to actually put people's lives at risk. That's what it looks like. Yikes. Okay, timer running. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, so let's go to the Daily Nation real quick. And the headline there, affordable housing bosses to earn 86 billion shillings profit.
Okay.
Yes, affordable housing bosses to earn 86 billion shillings. So, boost to local industries. Report notes the bulk of construction materials are being sourced locally. So, windfall now. The first batch of contractors under the affordable housing program will pocket 85.7 billion shillings in profits. A report commissioned by the government shows now this translates to a profit margin of 30%, much higher than between 2 and 15% modest rates recommended by reputable global firms for taxpayers-funded projects. Now, but the construction boom has opened a new high-performing revenue stream for the taxman, according to the state report. So the contractors are going to get 85.7 billion shillings. I really want to know who these contractors are and how they got those jobs. Yeah. Because I don't remember at any point that being advertised. So how they were picked as well is a question. Now, something has been revealed. Ruto's call to Gachagwa's doctor. Now, President Ruto called the cardiologist treating his then deputy Rigathi Gachagua to inquire about his health after admission to hospital with severe chest pains during the Senate impeachment proceedings, a court has been told. So, yeah, the president called to ensure that his deputy, who was being kicked out at the Senate at the time, was getting the treatment that he deserved. So we also have the issue on biting fuel shortage, and we've seen that happening. There's fuel shortage in the country. The CS said there's no alarm. It was due to a technicality that we're experiencing and administrative issues that we're seeing fuel shortage in the country. Okay. On health, something has been exposed why your hospital has no drugs. Now, for every 10 medicines a hospital orders from the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, the agency can only supply fewer than 5, according to the Economic Survey 2026.
Why? Capacity, yani?
Capacity.
Okay.
Or maybe it's because they don't have. So that is on page 8. We'll be looking deeper into that a little bit later. And Monday is the Gen Z building bots to decode policy documents.
Really, you have that guy. What's that other chick's name?
Njeri.
There's Njeri, there's Zari, there's those one. So now for the affordable housing, anaitwa Mwende.
No, she's building bots to decode policy.
Oh, I thought the bot was called. No, I was just excited. Okay, sorry. I take back my excitement.
She's building bots to decode policy documents. So she brings together young people from different backgrounds to build the tools that make policies more accessible to the public.
Okay.
And she's from Disengage Africa founder. Mwende speaks during launch of the IGAD Regional Youth Coalition. So, what the young people are doing to ensure that we understand these policy documents before they actually get implemented.
Okay.
Yep. So, we also have the story on page 4 and 5. It's that story on the profits that contractors are getting. And NEC to verify KCSE certificates instantly. Yeah, the Kenya National Examination Council has unveiled a new digital system that will allow instant verification of Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE certificates. One asks, how long was it taking before?
Thank you very much. Now, when I said I was wondering, before, how do you...
Yeah.
Like, if I have a 50 shilling note, you know how you can hold it up and check the watermark, and then how long did it take before? Will you have to send it to somebody, bring it back? What has changed now that makes it instantly verifiable?
Yeah, and I want to look at the problem. What has forced NEC to go that far? So do we have individuals who have forged documents?
Exactly.
That is forcing NEC to now say, hey, if you want to do it easily, here we go. How deep is the problem?
Wow. Interesting.
How deep is the problem? So we have fuel supply disruptions, heat regions as state defends higher sulphur import law. I think at some point we said that fuel was supposed to go back because it was high in sulphur.
Beg, Joe, you think that fuel went back?
So how then is the state that told us that thing went back because it had high sulphur now coming to defend importation of the same?
Call him what you want to call him. But there's some information that comes from Rigathi Gachagua every now and then that you have to say, wait a minute. Can he just be talking out of the side of his mouth? Or is he getting this information reliably? But I'm telling you, did you hear that fuel on a ship went back? It docked and then it went back to where?
Nope.
And it's not been sitting at the port somewhere. It's not sitting at the mouth of KPC waiting.
It had been offloaded.
Come on, you guys.
It had been offloaded.
Eish.
And I hear the government of Kenya was also fined some money for some fuel.
Boss, people invoiced for that fuel. People invoiced. And we saw the documentation. They're called one what?
Yeah.
Those guys. They invoiced.
Yeah.
So are you invoicing for something that was not already expended? What are you talking about? That fuel is in your vehicles, it's in the air, you're already breathing it, my friends.
Yeah.
So that story should just to the doggies.
Yeah, so that is on the Daily Nation. Angalia Star.
Let me give you a number. I'm sure you're going to like it. 4.8 trillion. You like?
Yes, tell
All
me.
right. It's the 27 election budget. You call it the election budget, but that's the budget that goes into election year. The highlights of the proposed 2026-2027 estimates: agriculture push is number 1. There will be a fertilizer subsidy of 18 billion shillings, a seed subsidy of 2 billion, sugar reforms 2.5 billion. I thought that they had already reformed the sugar sector.
Yeah.
Abi, Caroli Omondi will also tell us a little bit about that because he was hot on the heels of that story. But if they're going to put more money into sugar reforms, it's possible that those reforms have not happened. Coffee debt waiver, 2 billion shillings. We're also looking at grassroots network as number 2. Village elders stipend, 3.96 billion. I don't have a problem with that. Monthly pay of 3,000 per elder, because essentially what we're looking at now is a welfare state for those who are not able to work. Big political projects, the SGR Naivasha to Malaba, 20.8 billion shillings. Roads, total 230 billion shillings. Nairobi Railway City, City Care, 436 million shillings. Kisumu Port dredging, 500 million shillings. I don't have a problem with that, but me, I want to see this railway city. Coast and land politics, landless settlement for those who don't have, 5 billion shillings. Other settlements, resettlements rather, 1.5 billion shillings. Youth and women, Nyota. Now inside we'll get 4.7 billion shillings. Women Enterprise Fund, 410 million. It would be lovely to see what the fund did with the other money that it had before. Jobs and education, teacher confirmations, 5 billion. Intern t-shirts, 8.1 billion. University scholarships, 30 billion. HELB, 56 billion. TVET, 9.2 billion. Exams and invigilation, 9.9 billion. These are all going into the budget. Health and social, UHC workers, 8.9 billion. Community health promoters, 3.2 billion shillings. That's what the highlights of the 26-27 estimates look like. All right. Key ODM leaders sit on the fence as internal wars rage. There's a picture of Suba North MP, Minnie Odhiambo. Are you trying to say that she's sitting on the fence? Scientists discover why some Kenyans never get malaria. Never had malaria in your life? There's a story in the Star explaining why. And the audit exposes a financial mess, governance gaps at Kenyatta University. We pray to God that we're not looking at another situation where a pioneer university has an issue. You guys, P.S. Muthoni, who is the principal secretary in the Ministry of Health for Public Health and Professional Standards, has been elected as chairperson of the African Permanent and Principal Secretaries for Health. Do with that information as you please. But that has happened.
That is said that the mandate elevates Kenya's role in shaping continental health priorities.
Yeah.
Let's look insular.
True.
Health priorities in Kenya.
Other people... well, no, please. Pap. Other people who are said to be sitting on the fence here, well, the pictures are there. Kisumu Governor Anyang' Nyong'o, Member of Parliament Ruth Odinga, as well as Rarieda MP Otiende Amolo. Not made a decision just yet. Wait, everybody should calm. Cool your temper. MP sound alarm on starved prison budget. Apparently not enough is getting to the prisons. That needs to be looked at. Dons hail Professor Munavu at funeral mass. Even as that happens, may his soul continue to rest in peace. Okay, so some of the stories that we're looking at. They want to clean up Nairobi. Hey.
It's been cleaned.
You've gone to town recently?
Yes.
Is it clean?
Let's move on.
Hallelujah. Okay.
Where, because when you talk about Nairobi, I think everywhere we live is Nairobi. So it doesn't really have to be the CBD, no?
Sadly, when you talk about a city, you're talking about the central part of the city most times, but without remembering that it spreads a lot further than that.
Exactly.
And that's why the mandate of a county boss then is so wide.
Bwana safisheni Nairobi ni chafu. Ni chafu. Kwanza na mvua. It's filthy, it's messy. I work patie gun.
Wow. Where? At that point, we have to tell you. We're going to be talking with Hashi, who'll be in the hot seat in a short while. Good morning. Sheila with the news at 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tembur. The ODM Linda Mwananchi group says the ODM party must field a presidential candidate in the 2027 general election. Speaking in an interview with a local TV station, Siaya Governor James Orengo said ODM is a stronger party than UDA and should therefore prepare to contest the presidency. He also accused some party leaders of making decisions under the influence of President William Ruto, saying the actions go against ODM principles.
No, we must have a candidate. We are the biggest party in the republic. You know, UDA is grown into smithereens. You're talking about ODM split into two. I mean, those chunk of members from Central Kenya who are in UDA, they have all walked out. They continue to walk out. What remains of UDA is really in the Rift Valley and a few areas, you know, but is a smaller party than ODM.
Orengo named ODM chairperson Gladys Songa Suna, East MP Junet Mohammed and Governor Simba Arati and Abdul Samad Nasir among leaders who allegedly met to discuss changes in the party leadership following the death of Raila Odinga. He further claimed that President Ruto has been funding ODM activities and chairing some party meetings at State House and other venues.
Cabal in State House chooses who the next leader of ODM is. Cabal which is presided over by a party who does not belong to ODM. And then the next day, before Raila's body arrives in Nairobi, they hold a meeting supposedly to confirm the discussions that were held in State House. So as we speak, that process, which should have produced a de jure and de facto leader of the party, did not work out.
Meanwhile, Orengo has declared himself ODM's interim leader, saying the party cannot continue without leadership. He said the move is intended to restore ODM to its founding principles ahead of the 2027 elections.
Now, what I'm saying is that, you know, I didn't just declare. Everywhere we went in those mega rallies, people were saying, you are the one to lead the party out of this confusion and make ODM be what it should be. And you can see the turnout, the spirit and soul of Raila is with Linda Mwananchi.
The Social Health Authority has defended its means testing instrument used to assess contributions to the Social Health Insurance Fund following criticism over its accuracy in measuring household incomes. SHA says the tools was introduced to replace the former NHIF system, which it described as unfair and unsustainable, with low-income earners carrying a heavier burden than wealthier contributors. Under the new system, SHIF contributions are set to at 2.75% of household income with a minimum monthly payment of 300 shillings. For informal sector households, SHA uses proxy means testing to estimate income levels, saying the method is internationally recognized and was developed through consultations with health experts, universities, government agencies and development partners. The authority says most informal sector households are currently assessed at 850 shillings or below per month, while vulnerable households are fully subsidized by the government. And an autopsy on the body of Reverend Julius Ndumia of the PCA Church Tabuga Parish in Lanet, Nakuru County has revealed that he died from lack of oxygen caused by multiple health injuries inflicted with a blunt object. Government pathologist Dr. Titus Ngulungu, who conducted the post-mortem, said the deceased also suffered severe blood loss before his death, pointing to the brutality of the attack.
Kulikuwa na laceration moja kubwa upande wa nyuma ya kichwa ambayo cause fracture ya mfumo la kichwa ambayo hata imefanya the brain shake violently. Kwa hivyo alikuwa na brain contusion na alikuwa na subdural hematoma. Kile kingine, hiyo injury ambayo ni ya nyuma iliweza kumfanya afunje damu, na ile majeraha ambayo alipata kwa shingo upande wa mbele ilimfanya asipumue vizuri.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembur.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same
and the
National
Senate,
Assembly.
Yes.
That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 7 minutes after 7 o'clock, and a very good morning to you. It's a Thursday, the 7th of May, and our conversations will take an interesting step this morning as we look into Kenya's diplomacy. On a scale, is Kenya a trustworthy ally? And we'll look at the levels as to which this will be measured. And joining us for this conversation is foreign policy expert Ahmed Hashi.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, Ahmed. How are you?
I'm very happy to see you. I've been here twice, and I've been asking about you. I thought you were dissing me or something. You know.
Me? How? Never.
Yeah, so she's the one who likes that word. Like, don't diss us. So I heard you went back to the west of the continent. You look fantastic.
Why, thank you, sir.
And that's going to get me into a lot of trouble today.
Today.
You talk about what? Don't you just say you look okay? Or you say, I look fantastic.
Did you have to use that other adjective? Oh, my God.
Karibu.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Santi. And we're glad that you joined us this morning. I reckon that where our proverb is from this week you've been.
Yep. Eritrea. Asmara is the capital.
Oh, wow.
30 years of fighting with Ethiopia. Then finally the referendum in 1993. Since 1997, there is not pretty much like a written constitution that the country uses. But also Eritrea is closed off from the rest of the continent. But of late, the leadership there is trying to open it up based off documentaries that you see coming from the country. Asmar as well is considered Little Rome due to its architecture in the country. But let's go to the proverb. The woman you make sacrifices for can turn around and tell you that she did not force you to do that, and she'll not be far from the truth.
Yes, it's very true, because women have two brains while we have one. So if you have lunch today, you can't hold your lunch if you had steak and potatoes at 1 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, you can't hold it. Women have something that grows into their body for 9 months that weighs a kilo or maybe more. So I think that the intuitive, and we're counterintuitive. So women are intuitive. So I think that, they have two brains. There's one here, and there's another one here, and while we have only one, to make up for the other brain, we have muscles. But as the gym system is operating nowadays, the women are also So I think this saying is absolutely correct. Yeah, I think it's called gaslighting, isn't it? Gaslighting is to tell someone, your memory is bad, you forgot to tell me I love you, and you did, and it's a way of control. And I think that has a lot to do with the balance of power between the genders. So I agree with what you're saying. Well said.
Okay.
It's my take.
That's the nice thing about an opinion.
Nice thing about your opinion.
So bad.
Over the last couple of days, there have been some interesting happenings. The president of Kenya was in Dodoma during a state visit, and then he made a presentation before Parliament. He was introduced by Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu. But before that, she went into a little bit of a thing where she said, okay, well, it seems as though we are having this joint project of a refinery at Tanga, which I had no idea about, but you've then gone ahead to announce it. She didn't keep any prisoners when she said, well, you need to come and explain to them because I have no idea what we're talking about. It was interesting because yesterday in the dailies there was a list of a number of these things whereby maybe there has been an announcement which really wasn't the case. Whether you're talking about the recognition of a state which was not recognized as a state by the rest of the world, whether you're welcoming where folks have talked about persons of interest in terms of warlord status, and they've been called Kenya's gaffes over the last, few 2 to 3 years. What would you say is Kenya's standing diplomatically with its allies currently?
There's a question about the standing itself. Conceptually speaking, I was appalled that the president of Tanzania used the whipping and lashing statement that she used in Tanzania against the Gen Zs. Of course, President Ruto was very careful about his reply because there'd be repercussions here. Those kids would just call for 2 million people to come to the street again. And that would cause another bedlam. So, of course, we have people power in this country that is confronting the state. And Tanzanians have been trying to do that for a while. And they have been stopped by dint of killing. There's hundreds, maybe thousands of people died in Tanzania.
So the report says...
Aerial photographs are saying that there were mass graves. The police were putting those people inside mass graves. And the glib kind of revelation that... men and women who lost their sons and daughters don't even know where they're buried. And the political leadership doesn't understand that this is a molten fire, that their brothers and sisters, their uncles and aunts, their community, their father and mother are burning inside, because in African cosmology, there is a need to touch the body and put it inside somewhere so that you can walk away from it. You know what I mean? It's a really critical part of African culture. And Tanzania is in a quiet place, and the storm is now coming, which is bigger than what happened last time. So when I was here last time, I predicted everything that was going to happen. It's on record, and you were here.
Yeah.
So there is a guy called Dangote. You know, Nigerians have a way of fascinating us. They mess up in such big ways, and then they do something so brilliant. Then you wonder if it's still these Nigerians, what's wrong with them?
These crazy Nigerians. Okay.
They do something so crazy. Then they do something amazing. So we have Dangote, who years back thought that, you know, he lives in the future, that this Middle East place is going to burn. Let us build a refinery. I'm making a chronological case about the Tanga comments.
Yes.
So he built the refinery, and the IMF said that it's illegal and it should be stopped because it fights competition. This is, if anybody has a case against the IMF anymore, that's it. Yeah. They're simply telling Nigerians that you cannot process your oil because we want to process it and we want to send it back to you. So Dangote has become a talisman. He has decided to tell Africa that you can actually do things with your resources. Yeah. So when the Straits of Hormuz hit, in which I said here that Iran was going to lose the battle but win the war.
Win the war, yes.
And this has happened.
Yes.
I said that there was going to be a recession and the oil prices. I said all these things. Now, our president went to this meeting in town, and you know, he said, "Oh, we're going to build it in Tanga." He hadn't called
the people in Tanga.
You know, this is the thing you tell your PA: call the president's PA, tell him I'm going to say Tanga. And if there's an issue, tell her to call me back. Yeah. But you see, our president is, you know, there's this song, "I believe I can fly."
Yeah.
I believe I can touch the sky.
Yes.
So his mental makeup is not humble. You know, he does things in a unilateral way because he's a right-wing conservative person. Ideologically, that's what he is. This other stuff is just makeup, but that's what he is. So the president of Tanzania called him out in public over it. And she said, "You didn't tell me about Tanga." And do you know what was his reply? "I wish I had said Mombasa." Instead of saying, "Madam, I'm sorry you had to call me out for it, and I deserve that because I should have called you, and I apologize. You're my sister and my elder sister. Forgive me."
Yes. Case closed.
Case closed. But because yeye ametoka hapa Nandi Hills. Huh? So no joke, you know that Nandi Hills? People are warrior-like, they're very tough and things like this. Apologies to women are not allowed in the culture. They make you look weak. You get it, right? No, look, you see, it's very important to tell the people of this country and the region and Africa the truth. Do you know why we have to tell the truth? Because at a time of deceit, the truth is revolutionary.
Yeah.
You know, it's a saying. I think it's the Irishman. I forget his name. So this kind of diplomacy, which shoots from the hip, is not helping Kenya. The second thing, it's not helping East Africa because we want to make sure that East Africa is united. Blah blah blah. Third thing is we need that refinery. By the way, did you know we have a refinery in Mombasa?
Yeah.
Yes, Changamwe.
We do.
You know about that, right? I don't know if it's working.
No.
It's not working, huh?
Yeah.
That's a big problem. Because what we can do is that we can refurbish that. But, you know, for the sake of East Africa, you see there's this pipe that comes from Uganda, then comes down to Tanga. So we want to connect that pipe to Mombasa. And we will not have, you know, the fuel lines here in town now, the cars don't have fuel, right? The gas stations are busy with there's no oil, there's no petrol. And in another month, it will get worse. So this, many times I've come here and gave a chronological order of how our diplomacy has failed. We don't need to be ad nauseum because the people remember and they can go online for the other programs. But we need to refresh them. We need to tell them that what happened in Tanzania was not diplomacy. It was a diplomatic failure in my assessment.
Yeah, Hashi, and you see, that also just comes on the heels of the day when Kenyans were asking about fuel prices in the country. And the president went up and said that, fuel prices in Kenya is high because we are a developed country. The others are least developed, and that did not sit well with many out there. You also, now as we speak, Kenya is to host that meeting with France.
Yeah.
And many African leaders have called out the president, including Ramaphosa, because you look at what the Sahel is doing in ejecting France, and Kenya has actually been called as a traitor based off what the rest of the continent is saying about the French government. What would be your position on that?
Well, I think that I've always believed that we must have a common front when it comes to diplomacy in the region, and there are about 5 regions in Africa. Yeah. Well, you know that the French have a concept called mission civilisatrice. You know about that? Mm-hmm. So the French have, there's no better colonial culture that's better than the other. Mm-hmm. Samora Machel used to say that English colonialism is not better than French colonialism. The English-speaking Africa believes that they are a bit better than the French and the Portuguese.
Their colonialism was just a little bit more refined than that.
Yeah, that's what they think. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Probably the British system under Lord Lugard in Nigeria was much more brutal than the one in the Sahel, because in Nigeria it was a concentrated population. There's no people in the Sahel. There's a few million. So the French couldn't even find the people. They walk around and there's nobody. But in Nigeria, you hit the markets and there's 10 million people down the road there. So English colonialism was worse. Now, to get to this point, I think that the French have no business in this continent. I really think so. And the reason why the West Africans have kicked them out is because the French economy and the French Republic survives on the resources of West Africa.
Yes.
And it's not my words. Jacques Chirac, who's a former president, said that verbatim. He said, if we don't get the resources from West Africa, France will be a third world country. He's exaggerating, of course. France and Germany have a relationship, but he was saying really what was really the truth.
Yeah.
So I think that President Ruto thinks that the two-step colonial dance for the Western powers will really help him. And in the meantime, he keeps pleading with them to change the financial infrastructure of the IMF and the World Bank. Why would they change it? You see, most of the time I start asking myself questions, not from the beginning, but from the end. Then you follow back the trail, and your question will make much more sense, or you'll change the concept. So he's saying he understands that we take 100 shillings from the public. Our debt is 150 shillings. We pay the 100 shillings. Then we have to look for another 50 shillings to pay. This is in the billions, Then what happens is that we go into something called a deficit. The deficit is the difference between, what you're taking and then there's the debt. There's another thing, So then we can't do anything. You can't build roads. You can't build things like this, and you're in a debt trap.
Yeah.
Now the French are masters of this. So Mr. Ruto is trying to find solutions in the back pocket so that if the ones from America and Europe fails, he can access the French. So he's really just playing a balancing game in this country because he really doesn't know what to do. So I'm going to tell him what to do.
Okay.
It's important. You just can't come here and criticize people all the time.
Yeah.
What solutions do you have?
Exactly.
So I have a solution to this whole problem.
Okay.
I think that he should, first of all, kick out the French and not allow them to come here because the West African experience shows what the French people or the French Republic want to do. The second thing is he should not tax this nation because nothing has ever been built on taxation. That's number one. Number three is we do not have any other resources right now. We have our minerals. Now, Somalia the other day gave Turkey 95% of its oil for 5%. That's neocolonialism.
Yes, it is.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
What we need to do is to think about how we can process our minerals, our oils, and our natural resources in a way that will give the balance of accounts in our favor. And the most important resource we have in this country is its people. If its people had good leadership, they will go out of their way to make sure that the country works. I'll give you an example. Ethiopia built a dam. And it went into the markets, and the market said, we're not going to give you any loans.
Yes.
So the leader of Ethiopia, and this is part of the culture of Ethiopia because they're very resilient, self-sufficient, and very proud people. They really believe in their country. So they said, we're going to build that dam, and everybody gave 1 shilling, 2 shillings, and they built it.
Yes, they did.
So it's possible for us to build things in our country with the resources of the people.
Yeah.
So what do we need to do? We need to plead to the sentiment of the people, not tax them.
Yeah.
We need to plead to something called sentiment, which is currency. And good leadership pleads to the sentiment of it. For an example, President Kibaki built the Thika Highway, built all those inroads, and his debt was maybe 5% of what Uhuru and Ruto were taking. How did he do it? And why did these two young people from Jubilee, Uhuru and Ruto are joined at the hip?
Yeah.
You cannot separate Ruto from Uhuru.
Oh, okay.
No, you cannot.
In terms of what?
Because it's Uhuru who brought Ruto to us.
Right. Okay.
And then he complained about him at the end. Was he giving us bad judgment when he chose him? No, he was in The Hague. He needed him. So he had to bring him. But he knew he was because they were in Kanu together forever under President Moi. So he knew the president, William Ruto. He knew him. So we should not cheat the people of this country. And President Ruto is right when he brings up Uhuru and says, Uhuru did this. But you know what? It was a joint presidency.
Yeah.
Because President Uhuru owned half of the government when they went into government.
Yeah.
He was appointing his own ministers. President Uhuru could not appoint someone without
consulting.
And what did President Ruto do when Mr. Gachagua tried to do the same thing?
He
impeached him. Right? So you see, the great Abraham Lincoln said that everybody, anybody can overcome any adversity. But if you really want to know a man, you give him power. And even me, if I'm given power, you get to know the real me. My rhetoric is here now as a person. But the test is to get power.
Right.
And when you get power, you see the real human being coming
through. Okay. One would imagine that as you deal with the geopolitics of the day, because we all know that the current geopolitical dispensation is that everybody is wooing Africa. Everybody is wooing Africa. And they're not doing it because they suddenly find Africa and its people pleasurable. That's not the case. That there's something that they're after. Good leadership would demand that this can be seen for what it actually is, and that not go to the people who essentially vomited on your shoes over and over again. France is a typical example of that. But that notwithstanding, the Kenya-France summit is happening next week. That France and its businesses and its government will come back and they will have a conversation about Kenya, who interestingly has been chosen as the spokesperson. They've given it a fancy name. But the truth of the matter is that Kenya has been chosen as the spokesperson to take the good name of France across the continent. What would good leadership dictate or demand that happens when another country is coming into your space, essentially to tell you that forget about all the things we said about you before, but we realize that there's a place that we can benefit here and give us another chance. That's what's happening, but we don't seem to see it.
Well, there's this, I think she's Ghanaian or she's Nigerian. She's called Ama Aitu. I think she's Ghanaian.
She is.
Ama, probably one of the great writers of West Africa, said that we've had a relationship for 500 years. We've had a relationship for 500 years with Europeans. And all they brought us was tuberculosis. They didn't have tuberculosis. We didn't have it here, Yes. And then they took the gold and everything. So we have to get out of this rhetoric of they took it, they did this, what did they do? We have to get out of that. That's a victimhood. We don't want that. We want to be Africa. We want a renaissance in this continent. I think that this French incursion into an English-speaking country shows you the desperate nature of the failure of the French Republic in Africa. And the very idea that they could not go to Togo. Togo speaks French, right? To make them the spokesman. Well, how do they want us to make them a spokesman? We speak English. It just doesn't make sense. And you know what? They gave their soldiers, they're bringing their soldiers here too, freedom from prosecution, like the English ones, The English ones have been raping women in Samburu. Did you know that? Well, mass rape. Okay. It's true. They were sued in court. I'm not saying something that is controversial.
I understand.
They were sued
in
London
taken to court
for rape when the British Army installation here in Nyanyuki.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not, it's in the public record. I'm not saying anything controversial. They actually were sued. And the British government itself has replied to it and said, we are going to give compensation to those women. It's not new. I'm not saying, this is not me.
Yeah.
I'm just restating what's in the public domain. And you can Google that. I mean, people need to Google things to figure these things out. So if the British soldiers were doing that and our Kenya government was letting them go, the American soldiers come to Mombasa, they kill Njoki, they go back to the ship and go to America because they don't have, the laws don't apply to them. It's kind of sovereign clause. And the French have applied for the same thing because they know that we are not militant. We are going to just, be nice.
Come along,
And I'm a militant. I'm a partisan of militancy. I believe it has a space in the political economy of our country. And I think that just telling the truth has become such a big problem. And can you imagine of those who are much more radical, who want absolute change? What will they do to them? I'm a liberal who is looking for a constitutional, parliamentary, legal way of change. If you get that underground, people are going to go to the underground as well. So I think that we ought to end our sojourn with these folks. And in a way, there's this guy from Martinique. Is it from Martinique? He's called Aimé Césaire. He's I think he's Haitian. You should Google that before the show goes out. So Aimé Césaire wrote a book called My Native Something. When I was in college, I used to remember these things, but I'm getting older now. So he said, I remember a line from that book, which he says that we have a rendezvous we all have space in the table we all have space at the table here in this continent. And what we ought to do is to get the leadership that brings us all to the table so that we can have our chow mein, just the way the Chinese are having theirs.
Yes.
And we don't have to share our chow mein with other people because that's exploitation. So we want to end exploitation. And you can see that France has invaded Mali, for an example. Just to give President Ruto a heads up, he's sent so-called Islamist terrorists. Do you know every time you don't agree with Europe, there's an insurgency that happens in your country? Or there's civil conflict, or there's massive demonstrations. Like in Iran, it's funded by the Mossad, and then they caught them, said, here are the people who are funding the revolution. The revolution in Iran. So, France invaded Mali. They are near Bamako. They're demanding Koita, the president of Mali, to toe the French line, or the Islamic terrorists are going to come into Bamako.
Yeah.
Wake up and smell the coffee, my dear brothers and sisters. It's just, a high school student can analyze that and say, what's that? What is this? That's a sovereign country that changed and threw them out, and they're forcing themselves upon Mali. Now, if there's any other example of that mission civilisatrice, I don't know what else to say.
And this country, the same one that's purporting these things, has not suddenly changed because they're on a different coast of the continent. It's the same country that did these things in the west and part of the continent. It is the same country who is presenting itself in this Cinderella moment as someone else, but it is the same country,
the same guy
with the same ideals. And with the same foreign policy in terms of what they want to do in the future. This is what I'm saying. That wouldn't leadership then be able to see this for what it is? Because maybe you could argue that during the times when colonialism was still a novel thing,
then you could
say, okay, well, we're not really sure what they were doing.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
But now
you've had 70 years of that experience.
Yeah.
Then you come back and somebody's doing the same
thing, and you agree
to it. But you say, okay, how about you come in and here is our land for you to come and train your soldiers?
Oh, absolutely.
And then how about we have a summit where we now can speak for you to the rest of the continent?
Absolutely.
Why would that happen if you had leadership that understood where it was going, whether it was through its foreign policy or through its diplomatic relations on the globe? Why would that happen? And where does the buck stop?
I don't understand why we would deal with a president whose wife slaps him around on the runway of airports.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying anything. It's in the public record.
There's a picture. We get it. There's a video.
No, there's a video.
There's a video, yeah.
It's bizarre. As Africans, we have a consciousness. And our consciousness, we're only saying that this consciousness, that we go to the farm, we till our yams, and we're going to go cook it and call the villagers together and eat it with a goat there that we slaughtered. And there shouldn't be some white guy with the blue eyes walking with a gun and say, give me half. I mean, in a crude way, that's exactly what's happening. But this time, he's coming in with a nice suit. I'm going to be in on that day. I'm going to be at the Kenyatta National at the KICC doing live analysis, and I'm going to take them on so that they can see that the people of this country and their government are not together. We have got more interest in having meetings with Ethiopia, Somalia, Tanzania, Kenya, to have a Magna Carta, an African Magna Carta, so that we can break down the borders, we can build the roads to make trade. We should have 2 or 3 ambassadors in Europe. Why do we need an ambassador in all the countries in Europe? They don't want us to come to their countries.
So
they do not.
Representation there.
And when they land here with $500, they come for 10 days. They come for sex tourism, you know that.
Ahmed Hashim.
No, it's true. We have to tell the people the truth. If we hide the truth, you see these battered old men walking down in malls with young women. If you go to Malindi and you see these old Italian people with diapers, with young women, it's a rape of our national sovereignty. It's the truth. And the people of this country in Africa ought to see this for what it is. And if we're coming here and not to tell the truth to the people, we have no business coming here. I have no business coming here. I'll be sleeping and eating my mandazi there at the house. But as a militant and a partisan of the African experience, and because the good Lord has given me a bit of a talent with my mouth and my tongue, it is not mine, it is the Creator's. I'll be judged about it in the hereafter. And this is because from my faith. It is very important for us to bring out what is happening in our country, in our region. We have to fight conservatism. We are not going to go anywhere with the conservatism of Madam Suluhu, who says that we should lash out at these young people
Flawed is the word
who are who are in their early 20s, who have simply 3 demands. Jobs. These are the demands. They want to get married to their girlfriends. They want to be able to buy an apartment. They are not revolutionaries. There's this revolutionary of Africa today is not in the ilk of Maximilian Robespierre. It is in the ilk of a liberal democratic system in which people want jobs want a future. They want children. They want good schools and good roads. These kids are not socialists. They are not. No African is a socialist. Nor a communist, because these are European ideas. We have an African consciousness for prosperity. What we want is prosperity. We want people to go to good schools, to have good hospitals, to have nice radio stations like this, to go there and go to the art cafe and have a cup of coffee, to live. That's what we want. And if it is going to take the road of militancy to get there, we will go to the road of militancy. If it takes the roads of conservatism to there, we will go there. Deng Xiaoping, one of my favorite human beings, he said, we don't care what color the cat is, as long as it catches the mouse.
Yes.
Do you care if you bring the cat at home if it has spiked ears or one toe?
No. Provided it does the work.
Does it catch them? We want the mouse of poverty caught and eaten.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We want to be able that my kids cannot go to the university in a foreign country because at the University of Nairobi you can't use the bathrooms. It's terrible. We have to stop. We have to stop and be upright, like Thomas Sankara. And he was not. He just wanted to bring agriculture back in Burkina Faso. And it is the French Republic that sent Blaise Compaoré and shot him dead.
Yes.
It's not me who's saying that. It's in the public domain. Everything I'm saying is in the public domain. There's nothing new Ahmed Hashi is bringing here to the table. All of you know what I'm saying. If I went over there, Du is probably much more militant than I am. Next time I'm going to take that microphone.
Okay.
And you sit here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And people will be shocked. This Igbo woman, she's going to say things that I'm not even saying.
Yeah. How should we look at the unity of the continent that you talk about? That I'll take an example of the 27 bloc in Europe, and them coming together to open their borders and do business together that has given them the power that they will today. You look at the continent today and you look at statements coming from, say, President William Ruto that has just alienated the entire Sahel region, because they would say, you are in bed with our enemies. We don't want to talk to you.
It's a disaster.
And here we are talking about the independence of the continent, opening all these borders.
Brilliant question.
Not having all these passports.
Musa Hulu, that's a brilliant question. So just stop right there. I'll tell you. So Mr. Ruto, President Ruto, is our president, constitutionally elected. And we're going to constitutionally remove him out of office in 2027. So, the first thing he said, we don't want to go the way of Burkina Faso. Okay, Burkina Faso gave 500 tractors to women. It has built the biggest hospital in West Africa. It has built a new airport. It has brought agriculture back. It's the biggest exporter of onion today, tomatoes. Agriculture is revolutionized. Corruption is at the end. It's done. They formed the Sahel Union. The living standards has gone up. Children are going back to school. What has President Ruto done here? You do not criticize people when your home is doesn't smell of fufu, that you don't have made nothing. And someone else has made nice fufu there with chicken. And you're telling them, this is not good.
But they're eating.
Yeah.
So this kind of makes me upset.
Okay, but where are you going?
I'm starting to get upset because it's just so commonsensical,
Yeah.
And the French landed in Mali because they want Burkina.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
The person they want is the example of Captain Traoré. That's what they want to overthrow. And what they want is our stiff upper-lipped Thai British culture here, where we go there and say, hello, comment allez-vous, ça va bien, ça va toi. That's what they want, this played kind of. No, they're not going to get it from Ahmed Hashi, because I come from a fierce race of Republicans. We refused to be colonized by these fellows. The first people to be bombed in Africa were my people. Yes, they went and bought guns in Europe and they fought them for 25 years. And they did not come after that. The Ethiopians did the same thing. The Land and Freedom people did the same thing. In West Africa, they destroyed civilization. They fought, the Ghanaians fought. The Nigerians fought like nobody's business. They lost millions. It's not that we do not fight. They had the Maxim gun. You know, so you in Sandalwana in South Africa, they fought and got defeated. So I think that the fight is still on, because we know what is happening in the Middle East. We know what's happening in Gaza. The United States and Israel just went and bombed a country and then told them we're going to close the Straits of Hormuz. What is going on in the world is empire.
Right.
It's as simple as that. And you don't have to be a radical left-wing person to say it. You know, you should not be tarred with the feathers of their own ideology. What is not my ideology? My ideology, African consciousness of Steve Biko. That's my ideology. That this is our place. You come with respect. We treat you with respect. We do our thing. You don't try and exploit it. We fight you if you try and exploit it. That conference is an exploitation of our personalities as Africans. And we ought to oppose it.
And within that struggle, is there the necessity for what we're hearing now when we talk about the fairness or the structure of the global economy, for example? If we're saying that you come to my place and that you must respect me and that state sovereignty then must be respected, can we, in the same breath, then demand on financial institutions, for example, for fairness in their lending and fairness in their interest rates and things like that, which has been on the forefront of many a tongue? President William Ruto is one of them. To an extent, Cyril Ramaphosa has said you must do this, and then he's kind of been excommunicated because then they're part of the BRICS and all of this. But do you then hold a right to say, if we're going to be part of this wonderful global village, which was invited by Globalization 2.0 in the year 2000, can you then now say, well, we are all at the table, but you have to be fair to me if I'm going to borrow from you?
Brilliant question, I mean, that's why I love coming to this show. You see, why should we borrow money from them? How do they make money?
From the interest that they charge on offer.
Yeah, but as a sense, they made a bank, they made currencies, they made paper, they created an economy based on capital, right?
Off of the resources that a lot of them got from here.
Yeah, so why can't we create a bank? A continental bank. We have one, Afri-Exim Bank, which is a brilliant idea, very good. Why is it that we cannot create our own currency? Why do I need to take a Kenyan shilling and go to Bole Airport in Ethiopia and get dollars? Why?
And then change it to beer.
Why? Why don't we have an East African Kwanza? Why do I need to go to Uganda and change Kenya with the face of Jomo Kenyatta, face of Idi Amin, or you would say, why? Because it's neo-colonialism. These people in charge of these states are in cahoots with those people. And if that doesn't happen, you get overthrown. The very idea of human rights, constitutional government, and the rule of law and democratic government are tools, ideological tools for our exploitation. Because they tell you, this is not democratic. What's democratic about them with our relationship? There's nothing democratic about it. So, we fought for democracy, electoral democracy in the continent, because the dictators were stepping on our necks. And when I was fighting that, we had no other option to say we had to use the constitution to get rid of these people. They had to go to the public to get their mandate. And you know what? They beat the progressive, like people like Ruto went to the public. And they used the language of the progressive, bottom up. The poor, he's from a very poor background, You saw him singing for President Moi in Nandi when he was very young. He's very poor. Today he's one of the richest people in Africa. He did not invent a cup to sell it to the supermarket. It's true.
It's true.
Why are you so shocked?
I'm not shocked.
Yeah, don't be shocked. Listen, I have been to all these jails, don't worry. I'll spend more time there for you. So, what is it about our poor people from poor backgrounds, When they come into power, they become more conservative than the rich.
The rich, yeah.
So there is something psychological about it. So I think that we ought to, look, if you want a dictatorship, at least give the people, the hospitals, the schools, the roads, and don't kill people. Be a benign one. There's a discourse about that. I don't agree with it. I think that our own forms of democratic norms, African consciousness that brings about institutions that we can use chiefs from Igbo land. What is wrong with having chiefs and their people discuss what is happening in their region in southern Nigeria?
Nothing. Oh, hang on. So essentially what we're saying is that what was brought to us in terms of governance was then presented as though it was the better option.
And it's not.
That whatever you had was not working.
Was not working.
Because I had to hoodwink you into imagining that how you were educating your children, how you were farming the land, how you were trading. Remember, Africa had one of the most sophisticated methods of trade that the world has ever seen.
They were exporting to Europe.
And this was happening, that there were systems of government which were operating. People knew how to rule. There was fairness. There was justice. It was happening, whether we want to admit it or not. So what was presented was a better way. And for years after colonialism in many, many, many countries, then you imagine that this new way of government was trying to be inculcated by leaders, but it was always a mismatch. And so there were people who were always knocking heads. So are you saying that this democracy that every one of us uses to now describe our country's Democratic Republic of the Democratic Republic, whatever, actually is not working?
I think that if the cat is not eating the mouse, the poverty mouse, it's not working. Our job is to increase the money in people's pockets, for them to have shops, for them to build dukas, to go to good schools and the things that I've talked about. But also, I think that it would be absurd for us to not notice that we live in the 21st century and that there are benchmarks of systems of government, right, that have been tried and tested. I think that the African system of government has not been tried and tested. And it cannot be exclusive because, there's no Garden of Eden back in Africa.
Well, maybe they won't allow it, Hashi, because they know it will work. But once it works, then a lot of the folks who are still trying to come back and court the African girl then will be locked out.
Aimé Césaire said, that book is called Return to My Native Land. He was criticized by a guy called Frantz Fanon, who said, there's no Garden of Eden in Africa. We were butchering each other just as much as other people were butchering each other, So there's a danger of returning to Afrocentrism. And then we find out that the human condition, because we're all humans, that the human condition is there, is that we had Shaka Zulu, who came all the way to Kambani here. We had all these African despots. Mama Suluhu actually used the African culture, the African history to say that the Gen Zs are not good because they're exercising their democratic right. So we have to be careful about Afrocentrism. But we have to be of an African consciousness. If Afrocentrism is being used to say the Gen Zs cannot go and exercise their right to democratic protest, then there's a danger. So we have to be smart. We have to use the allegory of the cat and the mouse. But if the cat doesn't find the mouse in the house, he finishes him. And the guy is sitting reading his newspaper, the cat will eat the owner of the house. We have to get a balance of the right for Ahmed Hashi to come and express himself and for the government to do its job.
So should we be concerned, should we be concerned with the business of diplomacy and making sure that your right has reign with certain countries in the world? Because we've called them some of what would look as though they were off color. We've called them diplomatic gaffes when they have to do with the folks who are continuing to entrench colonialism, if you ask me. Should we be concerned in the business of maintaining those friendships?
I'm more interested in having a grand conference with East Africa than France. For an example, you have a conference, China, Africa, France, Africa. We even had Thailand, Africa. Did you know that? Tomorrow we're going to have Taiwan in Africa. Then they parade 50 presidents, most of them who are over 80, to a conference. So I think that this idea in our political culture, in our state culture, in our state elites, that treats white skin as property. Do you know that's the problem? Wakiona mzungu, anakuwa mgonjwa. So you know that? Huko kwetu kwa waria, we give them the plate, we throw it away. We have zero respect for these people because we know that they come to exploit you. They don't come in good faith. They don't. One of the great presidents of Nigeria, because of doing from Nigeria, Murtala Muhammad, Allah yarhamah. He used to walk around Nigeria in the road. They found one of his deputies to shoot him. So what we need is not one Traore. We need democratic Traores. We need Traore to be elected to convince us that he is going to do the same thing. The other day he said, I don't agree with him, even though I admire him. He said, to hell with democracy.
It's never worked for the last, I don't know how.
I don't agree with the guy. I don't agree with him. He's my favorite African president. And I understand why he's saying that. Because the French intelligence is in the city. And if there's no military government, the French will overthrow him and shoot him.
Yes.
So that is why he's telling you this is not democracy. Here in Kenya, we never had a democracy. The other day, when we brought this new constitution, the new Katiba, this is our first step into finding openness and pluralism. And I think that this French escapade into our country is a disaster. And if I was at the Foreign Office, I would say no.
Now, Hashi, with all these diplomatic gaps that Kenya finds itself in, for a very long time, Kenya has been seen as a haven for diplomacy. Any problem that would happen in the region, Kenya would be the place to run to. But today, with all this that is happening, where is Kenya? Are we a laughingstock? Is everyone alienating Kenya based off position that has been given and statements given by the president and the Foreign Affairs Ministry?
How many Kenyans have you seen in white sands recently? Huh? Go to the beach. There's 90 Europeans and 10 people who are permanent secretaries and who own the cookie factory in town. The ordinary guy lives in a hut just down the road with no healthcare, no school, hardly any clothing, and their governor has a massive mansion there with a piano in it. These are the pitfalls of national consciousness. Sooner or later, there's going to be a conservative revolution in this country called Kenya. As we approach 2027, everybody in their household in Kenya is holding their heart like this. They're afraid of a civil war in this country. Ni ukweli. Ni ukweli. You have seen what Gachagua has said. The governor of Wajir, is very right. He said, the Luos in the ODM are spoiling the party. He's right.
Why?
Because the whole country is behind them, and it's now the guy whom I was a very close aide to, the former prime minister, a good friend, may he rest in peace. The family has taken over the party, and there is a squabble between the family over the future of the party. ODM is not a Luo party. It's not a Nyanza party. It's elected in Lokchogyo and in Wacher, near the border of Ethiopia. Some of his MCAs are from the border of Ethiopia. We built a national consciousness of a party. As one of the founders, I gave the keynote address, the philosophical ideas about where we need to go. The leader of that party is Professor Peter Anyang'o. He is the commander-in-chief of the operations of that party and the brain. And I was his Mutia Mukono. I helped him a lot. And the titular leader was Raila Odinga. The two of them happened to be Luos. But there was nothing Luo about them. Nothing. There was two Luos, one Somali and a Kisii, who founded this party. Later on, and William Ruto. So very sorry to say. We have to give credit where he was there. And without him, that party would have gone nowhere. It's a fact, we have to give credit where it's due. And then we went and campaigned in this country like nobody's business. Half of the people of central Kenya gave us their vote. So I think that it is very important for us to change our trajectory. And on matters of diplomacy should be in the region. After that, it should be in the continent, and we should concentrate on our resources. We should concentrate on how we can build links so that when we go to these conferences, I'll give you an example. The cotton, we produce cotton. We kill the cotton industry in Nyanza. Now, when you go to the trade rounds, The Americans and the Europeans subsidize their cotton farmers tremendously.
Yes.
So when we go to the meeting, they take the Uganda out. They give them another deal. They take Nigeria out and give them another deal. They take Kenya out, and then the African resistance collapses. Our diplomacy should be about making sure that when the cotton comes, we send one representative, we agree at the African Union, and we send this person. For all of us, you send it there.
Yeah.
And we say, this is our position, and there is no delegation from Uganda and Gambia.
Yeah.
I am the representative
for everybody.
And we have gone into the House and have agreed
yes,
that this is our common. There's no call from Trump to tell you, talk. That's the diplomacy we want. We do not want French diplomacy. What is French diplomacy doing in Kenya? To do what? Then we have the Alliance Française. It's enough.
Oh, God. And that's probably where we should end it this morning. Because, yes, there will be things that will be said. And it's opening our eyes and enlightening. Ahmed Hashi, thank you for being here this morning. Because Alliance Française. It is enough.
Let me tell you, I think that, as I always, I don't need to overdo it.
No.
But I think that you guys, to allow my voice to come here, is touching, because many Africans feel the way I feel, and if I can express it for them, because this is not natural ideas. I got these ideas from other African leaders and my own experience, right?
True.
So we have to express some of the sentiments of the African people and stop this nonsense of bowing to these Europeans and these people. We are the children of Kemet.
Absolutely.
So we have to end this nonsense, and if the media is going to help us do it, I say hallelujah to that.
How about that? Ahmed Hashi saying hallelujah at 8 o'clock. Good morning.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Sheila Tembur. The National Council of Churches of Kenya Nyanza branch has expressed concern over rising political tensions in the country. Regional Chairman Bishop John Mark Godia has urged politicians to avoid divisive politics, warning that current political trends could undermine democracy and trigger unrest if not addressed early.
We are greatly concerned over rising political intolerance, increased polarization, and the erosion of issue-based politics. The growing dominance of slogan-driven and personally centered politics continues to weaken democratic engagement and undermine accountability. Internal party wrangles currently being witnessed and calls for political zoning risk deepening exclusion and triggering instability.
Bishop Godia also called on the IEBC to rebuild public confidence in the institution and further encourage young people to take part in the voting process and elect leaders of their choice.
We call on IEBC to put in place measures that assure Kenyans of a credible election. We also urge our young people who registered for national identity cards and have not collected their national identity cards to go collect them, then register as voters and actively participate in shaping the country's democratic future as you desire, as young people, that this country will be left to.
Trade CS Lee Kinyanjui says the government is working to ensure traders access fair market opportunities to grow their businesses and reduce post-harvest losses caused by spoilage. Appearing before the Senate, Kinyanjui said the program also focuses on training farmers on value addition to improve earnings.
In the markets that the government is currently building, our main target is to give dignity and honor to trade while at the same time reducing the post-harvest losses. The ministry is collaborating with county governments in developing infrastructure such as the county aggregation, and industrial parks that provide facilities for aggregation, processing, storage, and marketing of agricultural produce.
Kakamega Senator Boni accused the national government of interfering in county functions, but Kinyanjui maintained that the initiative is being implemented in collaboration with county governments.
Your ministry and the office of the president and the president himself have taken the lead role in this particular exercise, especially KIPES, and to a large extent, most of the markets in the country. Could you explain why the cabinet is not abiding by the constitution?
The responsibility of markets lies with the county governments. I think that's correct, and it's well articulated in the constitution. But we must also agree that there's that which the counties have been able to achieve, and whenever county governments come forward and seek support in delivery of a particular function, they can enter into an agreement with the national government, which is the case in the market scenario.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembor.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante.
We will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption, because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning to you, and we are now clocking on 6 minutes after 8 o'clock into the third hour of the Situation Room this morning. The conversation shifts gears just a little bit, but how about that last one, when you're actually looking about being raised to a level of consciousness where you are aware of what's happening, and that you then should be able to work out your, if you choose democracy, with fear and trembling. We move on to a different kind of conversation, but kind of along the same lines. For the first time in the hot seat in the Situation Room, the Member of Parliament Suba South, Caroli Omondi, is here with us this morning. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, Yes, relaxed.
When the year started, I told our producer, I said, this is 2026, the year of our Lord, and we will see people in the hot seat that we have been trying to get into the hot seat but have never come. So you have established that prophecy this morning. Thank you. For honouring the invitation to be here to talk about some things that are definitely important as concerns moving forward in this country. You may or may not know, but what we do here every morning is that we have we go around the African continent every week. We come back from one country with its proverbs, and then we ask you to interpret. Then to tell you where we are.
Today we are in Eritrea. Beautiful country. Gained independence in 1993 after 30 years of war with Ethiopia. When you talk about the country, it is pretty closed off. You talk about even development of technology. Internet is really low. If you're planning to visit there, don't go with your Visa card. Just change, because they do not have ATMs, right? But if you want to cycle, they're known for having the best cyclists in the continent. So if you want to get fit and whatnot, go try that in Eritrea. But the proverb today: the woman you make sacrifices for can turn around and tell you that she did not force you to. And guess what? She will not be far from it. How would you interpret it?
The woman you make sacrifices
for. Yes, for.
Can turn around and tell you
she did not force you to.
Yeah, that is very true. You may fall in love and she's not asked you to fall in love and get carried away. I think probably it means do what you have to do without expecting anything in return, because you may not find it.
Maybe disappointed.
But I've been to Eritrea. I've been to Asmara. Yes, I've made a trip there.
Yeah,
it was quite an experience. It's a little town, dusty, with a lot of Italian influence.
Yeah. Right. It's called Little Rome.
Yeah. But and even some very old railway network, I think, built by the Italians. I went to see that. I've been there, actually.
Well said.
Not a lot of freedom. It's surprising they fought for 30 years to get their freedom, but there's no freedom in that country.
Yeah.
Absolutely no freedom. It's a complete autocracy.
Yeah.
Interesting. And perhaps there'll be certain parallels that then can be drawn into the conversation that we have this morning. Obviously, in a very short period of time, it's been clear that a movement has arisen that is trying to champion the rights of Kenyans and some of the freedoms and provisions that have been guaranteed by the Constitution, and that's Linda Mwananchi. We could be saying it, but what is the reality about the position that Linda Mwananchi is taking in this country? And the assumption is that it's a faction of ODM that has decided to chart its own path. But then we find that there are people day after day who seem to resonate with certain things. What are the tenets of this movement, and why is it seeming to be catching like wildfire?
Thank you very much. Let me also introduce myself now as the official spokesperson of Linda Mwananchi.
Okay.
But also the Secretary General of Azimio.
All right.
Moja One Party. But you've asked me to talk like now the spokesperson in that capacity of Linda Mwananchi. Yes, it is true that Linda Mwananchi started off as a group of progressive MPs or members of ODM. We started it off at different times. Yeah, and we coalesced around the idea that ODM was beginning to look like a leaking ship, heavily taking in water, sailing without a compass, on a treacherous voyage to nowhere.
Oh my gosh, okay.
And we decided that we needed to rescue it. But what crystallized our unity was, after we lost our leader, we then realized if we didn't come out to fight for the heart and soul of ODM and protect his legacy, then all the years of hard work would go to waste. We have identified what the issues are. One is that this country needs change, and we have to be on the side of the people to bring that change, while our other colleagues don't want that change. We've tried that we should maintain our independence as a party. The other side have surrendered that independence to external forces, to the point that everything they do is subject to approval from those external forces. We want to hold true to the values that ODM was built on, but also to give our supporters the hope that we can still have a better Kenya, united across tribal lines, focused on delivering the economic promise, and just making the country work for everybody and not for the few. So those are the things that have brought us together. They like to say we are not very many MPs. That does not worry us because we understand very clearly many of the people are hiding, coming to us quietly and saying it's just a matter of time we will come. Now, why we have been embraced so heavily by a cross-section of people, especially the young people, and by the way, across tribes, across socio-economic formations, is because of the issues we talk about. We engage with people across the board. We understand the pain they are going through, and we are ready to offer those solutions. But we also recognize in this moment of transition, you have to work across with everybody. So we are open to discussions with other political formations, and I'm very confident in the fullness of time, the opposition, the entire opposition will come together to deliver this change that Kenyans so desperately want. The only thing I keep telling our members and other people is that we have to know that we have a very serious task ahead. And if we are not up to it, it is better. Those who are not ready for it have to fall off fairly early. Because what we have in this country is the challenges require very tough decisions. First, we, as Linda Mwananchi, and wherever we will go, whichever formation we will join, we will insist on quality leadership. We want good people to be elected, to be in civil service, to be in parliament. We want people who can work for Kenya. And we also want a very serious program on economic growth. And then we want to fight corruption. And you could ask us what our programs are on those areas. I'll explain them to you.
Caroli, it's been said for a very long time that the history of ODM is well understood, that ODM has been a party that has been pro-people, anti-oppression for a very long time. And Raila Odinga stood for that, and even when Kenyans were on the streets 2024, the broad-based arrangement was not a political formation. It was there to achieve the 10-point agenda that he felt was concerns that needed to be addressed immediately. And even on that podium, because I remember I was there, even the president himself said, this is not a political formation. I will not interfere with ODM. Because remember, under the 10-point agenda, there was freedom for political parties to continue to grow and be independent. As we speak today, we see how ODM is moving, and we have two factions in it. Can one say that the original spirit of ODM as being pushed is lost to Kenyans?
First, when you talk to the other side of ODM, they'll tell you ODM is the biggest party south of the Sahara, north of the Limpopo. About a year ago, ODM was probably the largest political party south of River Nzoia and north of River Migori. Today, ODM is a party that is only relevant south of River Yala and north of River Migori. Majority of the ODM people are with us as Linda Mwananchi. There are still pockets. You saw what happened in Kisumu. There are still pockets left here and there of the other faction because they don't represent the aspirations of ODM rank and file. Take the 10-point agenda. Baba was very clear. Baba said the Gen Z revolution has created a set of circumstances that the government had to be stabilized. Remember, the Gen Zs invaded parliament. They breached parliament. In any other political system, that would lead to the collapse of the government. And Baba did not invite himself. It was actually retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, who was out of the country, who called Baba and asked him to go and meet with President Ruto and see how to stabilize the government. Because nobody understood what would follow next if Ruto's government fell on that day. Because we had not gone through that as a country. If the constitutional order then came down. So Baba went in there to stabilize government. And it was very clear. He said, we are not in a coalition. I think he said that very well. And there was a suggestion that members of ODM be co-opted in parliament. And Baba had two mindsets on that. At one time, he didn't want the politicians to go into government. He wanted technocrats to go into government, and that brought a bit of a challenge. And actually, the truth is, the members of ODM, the first 4 who went into government, went against Baba's wishes. He was actually in Dubai. He advised them not to join government, but they did. And when Baba came back, he said very clearly, they went on their own in their individual capacities. And people almost killed him for that. That was the truth. And those people know that very well. And he refused to meet them, actually. They tried to chase him at the airport. He refused to meet them. But that is water under the bridge. So Baba then said, okay, we are in it now. Let's sign something and let's see what we need to deal with to address the issues that had brought about the Gen Z revolution. That was the basis of the 10-point agenda. That 10-point agenda, do you know anything that has been done about it? They don't even talk about it anymore.
Well, they say it's in progress.
It's in progress.
There's nothing that is in progress. Let me assure you. There's even the compensation for victims of police brutality is not even in the budget.
Or even ending police brutality.
Yes, or even ending police brutality. There's nothing happening there. We can go through them. We gave, as Linda Monenchi, we gave our scorecard, which was a minus. Yeah. Nobody's interested in them. Neither the ODM of Linda Ground, or we call them Linda Ruto Group, they're not interested in the 10-point agenda. They're not. Neither is Ruto interested in it. They're not. Even the NADCO report, actually what they did was to then come up with this NADCO process. You remember before? Yes. And that NADCO process was just full of illegalities, things that cannot be implemented. And if you try to implement them, the courts will declare them unconstitutional. So it was just I don't know what, political conmanship, really. So that is neither here nor there. Yeah.
So there seems to be almost sycophantic insistence on remaining in the broad-based agreement by, part of ODM. And this seems to go against the grain of what this other part of ODM is saying, that Raila Odinga had insisted that is not the case. But then to the people that are looking for change in the country, it seems confusing, Caroli, that people don't know, okay, so what are we doing? And are we saying that they still remain in ODM as a party that will push a particular agenda? Are other parties joining the movement? You mentioned that you will coalesce around one idea so long as people remain serious in insisting some change. And you've talked about the economy. You've talked a little bit about, human rights and the protecting of all of that. So Kenyans are asking the question today, okay, so are you going to tell us at some point if there's going to be one person? There seems to be a call to be around a united opposition. Does everybody then need to come together to make a change? Because that's the cry now, that people are not really sure, or is there time that is needed to curate this idea some more?
Yes, you see, let's deal with the sycophancy first. I mean, it is very embarrassing, and I've talked about this. Remember, I've had a lot of difficulties with ODM at a personal level. Yes, and immediately after the elections, I did engage with the president on some construction of roads and a few other projects in my constituency, and they almost expelled me. I was told I should have just done it alone. I should not have gone with the other MPs, but that was my insurance anyway. And I've always told people, you can be friends with the president, but you don't have to be a sycophant. You don't have to lose your head about it. You still have to speak the truth. And these are not personal issues. These are public interest issues. So you need to focus on the public interest, because that is your duty. You're a parliamentarian. There are things you have to do. Just do your work and be cordial and collegial with people. But we have this problem in ODM. I mean, it is nauseating when you go to a function of ODM. They tell you, Baba left us in, we are where Baba left us. Baba left us in broad-based. It is such a stupid and shallow statement, because Baba, his last party was Azimio. And Baba said clearly broad-based was not a coalition. It was just an arrangement to stabilize government. So then they'll tell you, we have got development. We can dissect it one by one and realize, not much. In Luo Nyanza, the projects that have been promised are under 50 billion. And of those 50 billion, under 10 billion shillings have been disbursed. They are just experiencing the same difficulties like other projects around.
Yeah.
And most of those projects were started, some under Uhuru's administration, never completed. I'll give you examples. We were in Kisumu the other day. We launched a 1.2 billion fish hatchery project at somewhere called Kabonyo Kanyagwal over 2 years ago. About 10% of that project has been done. And because of backflow from Lake Victoria, it is now underwater.
The project itself?
The project itself.
Okay.
Yes, but you'll hear these guys talking about things that you'd think are so transformational. In the same place in Kisumu, there is a road, Kombewa, Maseno. It is just 15 kilometers.
Yeah.
The last 7 years, I think only 6 kilometers have been done. But they went and launched another one, Lela Luanda. We are wondering when will this one end. And now they're planning to launch a lot of roads. There'll be almost 5 new roads in Migori, 5 in Homa Bay, 5 in Kisumu County, to create the impression that there's development. But if you look at the budgetary provisions, there are 200 million in the budget for the road, whatnot, 300. I mean, it's, for those who know, it's a lot of nonsense that these people are talking about. The same place in Kisumu, there's the Mamboleo, Chemelil Moroni Road, given in 3 lots. From the Mamboleo side in Kisumu, I think only 1.5 kilometers have been done. Yeah, but let's even go further. Let's take the flagship of economic activities in Nyanza, the sugar mills.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were told they've been leased out. Farmers are now getting paid. We have produced more cane than ever. Let me tell you what is happening on the ground. Other than the fraud of taking those sugar mills for free, today, if you go to Moroni and Chemelil, the farmers have called for a meeting. Why? Because the price at which cane is bought per ton is being reduced from 5,750 to 4,800 per ton. People have been fired from those factories. The few who remained have had their salaries reduced.
Why?
Because there's no competition and they have nowhere to go. What happened? The mills were leased to those who actually brought them down. So Muhoroni was leased to a consortium associated with some politicians around that area. We know them and they know it's a fact. To Muhoroni is a 50-year-old company leased to a farm that is under 6 years without even financial audited statements that can run for 7 years. And they were given Muhoroni with the 1,600 hectares of nucleus estate without paying for it. So what they are doing, they are not, and they have a rival factory nearby. So they are not crushing cane in Muhoroni. Because if they crush cane in Muhoroni, they have to pay 4,000 concession fee per ton of cane crushed and 3,000 per ton of molasses produced. So they don't want to pay that. So they take all the sugar cane and crush in their factory nearby. So the government is losing revenues and the farmers have no option where to take their cane. The same to Chemelil, which is being crushed in Kibos. And if you go in that area, Miwani Sugar had 10,000 acres of land, which was public land, ruled by the Court of Appeal. They have imposed, they've taken rapid response security there and given the land illegally to somebody who's growing cane on it.
But the president, who one would agree or argue is the head of this broad-based government agreement, that folks use this same sugar industry to boast about one of the, things that has been done by the broad-based government, keeps saying that sugar reforms have happened. He keeps saying that they have accomplished developments. But what I'm hearing you say is a totally different, it couldn't be further from, it couldn't black and white.
Let me explain it to you. This government is a government at war with the truth. It is a government that is comfortable with lies. That is why even when the truth is from themselves, they fight it. That's why they don't agree with data from Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, data from Kenya National Examination Council, And yesterday, if you read the Business Daily, Jaindi Kisero had a piece there. For the first time, the outturn, the report on the ins and outs of the consolidated fund was actually withdrawn and reversed. How money has gone in and how much money has gone in and how much money has gone out. And if you read Jaindi's article, 88 entries in that report, of the 88 entries, 84 were erroneous. So forget about what they are telling you. If they are telling you the sugar sector has produced a bumper harvest and the rest of them, these are the facts. Let them give you the tonnage crushed per mill. On that, they will give you, on that basis, they'll also give you the tax returns paid to KRA.
Yes.
Yeah? They'll tell you how much electricity has been consumed. They'll tell you how much water has been consumed. And all those numbers will add up. They
Plus
should not
how much
just give
sugar
you
is
one.
available in the market,
And they'll
for
tell
example.
you, yes. So why did they, other day, they imported sugar, Kibo's Sugar imported 6 billion worth of sugar. They disguised it as industrial and it was consumption, for consumption. Why? And even the idea of leaving COMESA safeguards, that now we don't need the safeguards, we are okay. It is just an avenue to allow people to be importing sugar every so often. So these are lies. And I think we just need to be frank with our people and explain. And it is affecting, you'd think I'm talking about Nyanza and Western alone. It's affecting Kericho and Nandi counties because they are sugarcane growing areas as well. Yeah. So I don't know, but these affordable housing things, I've always said these it's an enterprise for people to sell steel, doors, and everything. And now you are seeing it here, headline of Nation. I've been explaining these things, and if you interrogate the so-called affordable housing program seriously, what these guys are doing are actually building vertical slums, concrete slums. Because think about it, housing, affordability of housing is not availability of the housing. It is about incomes. Yeah. And in this country, we used to have something called the bed space theory. When the colonials came, it came from colonial, apartheid South Africa, that the African man would come to work in town, not to earn a pension, but to earn money to pay dowry or buy cows or buy a bicycle or do something, and they didn't bring their families. Yeah, that is why you see the old railway houses along Jogo Road. It's a one-room house. There's a common toilet out, a common kitchen. Actually, before your wife would come, you'd have to give a name to the administration. And the name would be left with a sentry that my wife will come on this day, she'll be here between these days and leave on this. Yes, that's how it was. So it's a bed space theory. And then you had a room. If you look at some of those structures, I've gone to a few, they reflect bed space theory. They are not for families. Yeah, some you can't live with when you have families and you are young couple and whatnot. And some of them, the ones that have been built out of the urban areas, people, offtake is very poor. People are not buying them because there's no demand for them. I think even the Ngong ones, I don't know whether they've done sewage. If you go to the vet college in Ngong, you see the ones they've done there. I don't know where the sewage is and where people, I don't know. I don't understand.
Complaints about that already.
You know, it's been said for a very long time that for you to get development, you must go to State House. For you to get development, the president, you have to be cozy with the president and all that. But many out here say development is not a favor. It's my right. That's why I elected you to get there. And the fact that someone has to go to State House, talk to the president for development to come, that is reason enough for that president to be kicked out, because people deserve and people should get development. But that notwithstanding, you hear today that because of broad-based government, then we have 50 billion shillings worth of development coming to the region. And many are saying, okay, fine, even if 50 billion is coming, let's go to the budget, Finance Bill 2025-2026. Where is that in the budget on how we will fund all these projects? It does not exist. Majority of the projects that we hear is because it was a roadside declaration that was made, but
we can't see the funds that will come and implement those projects. And when this is being opposed, or when tough questions are being asked, many say, you are anti-development, you are anti our people. Yet members of parliament, those who are even pro-government, should ask the government the difficult questions, because at the end of the day, your people will ask you, this road was promised, it has not been delivered. What are you doing in government? Are these questions that, say, pro-ODM, who are now pro-government MPs, asking these difficult questions?
Yeah, let me just note something. When we went to Kisumu for Linda Mwananchi rally, we expected to be welcomed, but not to the extent that we experienced. Yes. That's when I realized this story of development, this story of being in broad-based, this story of whatnot, has not resonated with the people. They were very clear on it. They are not bothered. This is just an elite thing of those who are enjoying some largesse from the government for the time being. And by the way, it is just small pocket money that most of them get. It's not something very serious. Because of all that 50 billion, I keep telling them, you tell us, oh, there are all these projects in Nyanza worth 50 billion. In Eldoret, they are building a new referral hospital for 50 billion. One project. So what is this thing you are telling us is so special that we should sing about it? So it's just poor political education. Anyway, you see there are some problems with the structure, how government works in terms of development. If you want a road to be done, or a bridge to be built, or a school, the initiative has to come from the line ministries, because somebody somewhere must design the bridge or the road and the rest. But that is now the executive, where the president has full control. You see the point? So you may need that interface. Proper planning. That is why there's Ministry of Economic Planning. If they did the proper plans and other ministries took cue from the plans that have been generated, then it would not be very necessary to go and seek the president out. Because if you're an opposition MP and you walk into a ministry and you want to talk to a director or a PS or even a minister, and the appointing authority is at war with you, there's a way they'll treat you. So that is the reality of our situation. But that is the other side. That is where the projects are first conceived, designed, costed, because that must be the initial process before they even come to the budget. Now, budget making is supposed to be in parliament, and we are supposed to have full control of it. Once they come there. But the members of parliament don't have the necessary tools to do that. In fact, I've brought an amendment to the Public Finance Act, and it is being processed now, that amendment. I've cleared it through the committees. It's been published for public participation. What I want to do is that there are three stages. We have something called Parliamentary Budget Office. We have the National Treasury, and then we have the estimates actually being published. At those three levels, I'm proposing that there is a summary of development expenditure by constituency across all sectors. So if you're telling us we have given the water sector 200 billion, you must break it down to constituencies. So that members of parliament will have a view of what
kind of development you're talking about.
Yes. And you see, because our constitution is very clear, says there will be equity, transparency, there'll be free information given out. We've not been following that. I'm just giving life to Article 10, the values, and Article 223, the financial, public sector service values. So when members see that, there'll be transparency and they can question. Because now, the budget is broad. Not many people have the capacity to read it or to digest it. And the way it is presented back and forth, it is confusing to a lot of members. But this summary will show on development expenditure side that this is the basket, envelope of resources available. These are the projects we are going to do, and this is how they've been distributed. So that mosaic becomes equitable, and everybody can clearly see that we have been catered for here in the road sector, but we have got nothing on the health sector, which is not bad as long as they are all balancing out. The other proposal I'm working on is to save devolution again on PFM. And because I've realized their shareable revenue, I'm working on this with Senator Mugeni, and I was trying to interest Senator Sige also to come along, because it has to go through both houses, is to protect devolution by insisting that the shareable revenue, 70% must be warehoused strictly for development projects.
Okay.
So that only 30% goes for recurrent expenditure. And the way we will do it, we will require counties to have their budgets in advance and show us the project, so that we will have codes for the project.
At the moment, it seems to be the reverse.
Yes.
Where there is a majority of the shareable revenue that goes towards recurrent expenditure. I mean, the control of budget has called it out many times. And in terms of the absorption of funds then for development, those numbers are on the minimal. What would be the differentiating factor to ensure that that changes?
Yes.
And understanding across board, because then that answer would lead to my next question.
Yes, because today, a county gets 11 billion. The Auditor General comes back and tells us, or even the Controller of Budget, there was zero expenditure on development. But the 11 billion has been spent.
Yes.
And then they leave you with pending bills. The model we are proposing is not new. It is the CDF model.
Right.
The CDF model, the money that leaves the national government for NG-CDF, 5% is for administration, 5% is for emergencies. The balance is for development. The money leaves Nairobi already with a code to a project.
Yes.
So if it is 2 classrooms in a school, it goes to the constituency CDF account for a few days, then it moves to the project account. And the project account is managed by the locals of that area. So we want counties to adopt the same system. That way there'll be no pending bills.
Okay.
I'm sure you've never heard of pending bills in CDF. They are not there.
No.
Yeah, and the costing of those projects is not done by the MPs or the local people. It is done by the Ministry of Public Works.
Okay, but what you're saying is not or shouldn't be foreign to members of parliament, to and whether you're talking about the National Assembly or the Senate, it shouldn't be foreign. But it seems as though if it's been a capturing of minds to imagine that you should be involved in any other business apart from this representation, budget making, oversight, that the people of Kenya have given you a mandate to do. Now, when we look at that and you place it against the current political dispensation, then many would imagine that that part of the operation has left the building. So what Kenyans are looking for is a state where the things that you speak about then will be enacted, and then this protection of livelihoods and making sure that systems work then is a no-brainer. It just flows. It follows. So one would imagine that the next political dispensation would input these very things that you're talking about into a system of leadership and governance.
Correct.
Is that possible with the way things are currently? And we're already hearing conversations around we must coalesce around one person who will ensure that these things happen. Is that the position that Linda Mwananchi, for example, is taking? Because here are the things that you're saying, talking with other leaders to ensure that development happens across board. Kenyans want a different life than what they're experiencing today. But the brick and mortar is necessary for that to happen.
Yes.
And you can't do that if you don't have like-minded individuals pushing a particular agenda.
I hear you. You see, what we've learned as Linda Mwananchi, people want change. The reality is that that change will come at a cost to everybody. One is we have to give and take. You know, we have legacy politicians in this country. Those who have been around. And when you talk to Gen Zs, they have difficulties accepting them. But the reality is that those legacy politicians also command a sizable support across the country. Then there are the new crop of leaders whom the Gen Zs find easy to accept and to deal with. Then there are those in the middle like us who have experienced both. Now, what I keep telling people is we have to be ready to compromise. Compromise in the sense that we have to accommodate everybody. That is why I talk about 16 million votes strong for the opposition in the next general election. So what I can tell you, we are working very hard. Even yesterday, the entire afternoon, I was in a series of meetings trying to figure out how all these rivers will coalesce together into one big, the streams into one big river that will lead us now to the promised land. There's goodwill. I don't think today you can, the opposition first must remain completely united to have around one knockout of 16 million votes. In fact, even the idea that they are telling you there's some people are planning to rig the elections, if the opposition organizes themselves, remains united, have Gen Zs in their corner, that will not happen. Yes, these coming elections, for the first time, we want to have the results before daybreak. Very simple, because we know the number of polling stations. The presidential vote is the first to be counted between 6 and 7. We want those results posted officially by IEBC and by our agents who will be in all those polling stations. Because in the old days, we had problems with, there were no smartphones. Now everybody has them. So we don't see why we cannot have those results by the end of the day. So what we are doing as Linda Mwananchi, we are willing to agree on a reform agenda with the united opposition or the alternative government if they commit. This is the change we want to bring to Kenya, and this is how we are going to bring this change. We don't have a problem with that. Yes, but they are also willing. I was meeting some of them yesterday. Yes, and they are ready. They also wanted to understand what, I'm the spokesperson for Linda Mwananchi, but I'm also Secretary General of Azimio. So I was doing the interface, and we are very clear on this, that none of us can win it alone.
So if you have a reform agenda, it doesn't matter who a presidential candidate then would be?
No, that also matters. It also matters.
And because would there be one presidential candidate? Because everybody seems to be saying that they want to be, I will be president. Everybody's having these conversations. But if we're saying that the united opposition is saying, actually, we see sense in coming together, but then there are still folks who want to be president.
Yes.
See what I'm saying?
Having ambition, first, there's nothing wrong with it. Even within Linda Mwananchi, we have encouraged those with presidential ambitions to declare so. And to promote them. But to be live to the fact that only one person will. Yes. Remember, it's not a new script. When we formed ODM, we had so many presidential candidates. Raila was one of them. Balala was another. Ruto was another. We had Kalonzo. We had Joe Nyaga. They were all presidential candidates. But at one point and Musalia, we went and had an election, and Raila and Musalia took over the ticket. And the rest supported them, except that Kalonzo had moved out at that time. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, the way I see united opposition, the more, we call them the more established traditional politicians, they are also alive to this fact. And by the way, any one of them who will move out will probably not move out with the people. Because even if you understand the nuances of their so-called basis, people want change. For us, if you're in Linda Mwananchi and you walk out, I don't think you will even have the head to walk on any street in Nairobi. So the people have put it, and what I like about Gen Zs is that for the first time we'll have a citizenry that can hold our feet to the fire. Do this, you promised. The assurance I can give the nation is very simple. We are working hard on this. We are going to have one presidential candidate with one running mate, with one agenda, reform agenda item, a platform, and we are not going to break. It's going to be difficult. Many people may find it difficult or unpalatable because people have different ambitions. But data will drive us, and just common sense.
And you see, for a very long time it's been said that the problem the country, the reason why the country finds itself where it is today is because of legacy politicians. Those have been there for a very long time, given promises, have been to these offices, to these spaces, but they have nothing to show in terms of delivery. So even now, as we speak about Linda Mwananchi, that many say is the new kid on the block that is appealing to the Gen Z voters and in extension are pretty much all Kenyans. How then would this faction that is seen as the saving grace for the Gen Z who identify with it, but on the other hand as well accuse legacy politicians who one would say come from united opposition. How do you bring sanity to that conversation while struggling to maintain the Gen Z vote? Because as well they are saying, we also want some questions asked with regard to odious debt. And majority of the odious debt as well is attributed to the legacy politicians who've been there for a very long time. So
yes. Catch-22. Yes. You see, you're right. You see, we have had some focus groups, and when you present the legacy politicians on their own to the Gen Zs and the rest, they are not well received.
Yeah.
When you pair them with certain people from Linda Mwananchi, then suddenly there's acceptance.
Okay.
And with conditions that this and this must be done. What I'm trying to explain to people is that all the players have something to contribute. All the players. I'll give you some examples. You see the way the legacy politicians, the established politicians, have also agitated for change, called out the government, and actually maintained opposition presence in very many areas and at very strong levels. They've done it. Linda Mwananchi is doing the same. Even our good friend, retired Justice Emeritus Maraga actually appeals to the Gen Zs when you're discussing a fight against corruption. There's someone they can trust. But whether he has the momentum or the gravitas to pull the crowds that the other people pull is another matter. So everybody has something to contribute. And what we are saying is we have to compromise as all generations and agree that to deliver the change we want, every generation must have a piece of the action and must contribute their best. But what will unite us is an agreed reform agenda, which everybody must commit to. Yes. And in transformations, unless it is a revolution, transformation, sometimes you go slowly. You bring in everybody, you pass the first hurdle, then again there are more changes. But on this one, so that we don't leave anything to chance, I'm encouraging everybody to come on board, but be committed to the reforms that we want. And let us get the best out of everyone. And let us emphasize what unites us, not what divides us. And that way, I'm sure we will get the change we want. You know, Kibaki I'd suggested to Raila way back in 1996 with the late Kajwang that they should join ranks with Kibaki for 1997 elections. Because I looked at the numbers and I was clear in my mind. Kibaki Raila ticket would have won that election. But there were people around Raila who said, you know, Kibaki was not with us in the struggle for second liberation. And they refused. So Raila ran, Kibaki ran, and they lost. And then came 2002, Raila gave us a call one day with my senior Achir that we do an MOU, bringing him together with Kibaki. Exactly what we had told them to do 5 years earlier. Yes, and then the Kibaki that people thought was slow, did not fight for second liberation, that Kibaki transformed this country. And I believe of all our presidents, he's the best. Yes, I worked with him and it was fairly straightforward. So, you know, I don't think we will, if we are all willing to compromise and we understand that politics is the art of the possible, I think we will get a good presidential candidate, a good running mate, and good people to be in cabinet, and even better people to be PSs and directors. And on that, my view, I can't say it's the view of everybody, but I think we should leave civil service to civil servants to run. This idea that you get power and you take people who have, all they have known is to conduct political rallies, organize people, then you give them government dockets to run as PSs, it will not help this country. Let civil servants run civil service. Yes.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has openly said that he would want to be nominated to lead the charge to carry this thing, to then be able to topple the incumbent President William Ruto at that place. Is that something that even makes sense? He does appeal to a mass number of people. Again, coming back to, is everybody plugged into this reform agenda, and is that something that can even be considered?
Yes, you see, Rigathi has done something that surely we must commend. He has risen from the ashes, formed a formidable political force, and led the charge. There is no doubt about that. I mean, without him, you probably need to ask yourself, where would the opposition in the Milima come from? He's done it. His politics may have offended some people, or his presentation may not be comfortable to some people. Those are issues that I think needs to be raised genuinely with him and addressed. But you can't take away the fact that he's a very serious political player today. Yes, and the fact that he understands politics. That you have to give him. Going forward, it's not for me to ask him for what his political ambitions are. But I'm sure we are going to be at some table in not so distant a future. Yes. And we will do with him what we have done in Linda Mwananchi, where we have asked everybody to say what they want and why. And why they think they are the best. And to show us the data to back them. Yes.
Caroli, one thing that has, just from the recent ODM meeting in Mombasa and the statement that was given by Deputy Party Leader, Kisii Governor, was that he called upon all the factions, Linda Mwananchi and Linda Ground, to come together, to work together to move the party forward. Is that a direction that Linda Mwananchi is willing to take, to sit down with ODM, bury the hatchet and reignite ODM that was there? Is that something that is in the works? Have you been approached? Are these conversations that are ongoing?
First, they have not officially communicated to us. Actually, something strange is happening in ODM. Something very strange. The party leader of the Linda Ground faction of ODM, Dr. Oburu Oginga, appointed a chief of staff for his office. That chief of staff has been evicted by goons. We understand, sent by senior people in the party. 3 times he has not been able to access his office. I'm sure you've seen that in the social media. That's very strange. How could a chief of staff of the party leader face such difficulties? I understand some people want to resign from cabinet, go back and claim ODM leadership. I'm told that was one of the things discussed in Mombasa. So that is for them. Anyway, the point is this. If anybody expects us to engage with them from that other side, rule number one, they must disengage from UDA. That is number one. Number two, they must withdraw the letter they issued that they'll exit Azimio coalition. Number three, they must open the delegates conference for competitive election of party officials. They must. And let me tell you, for me, psychologically, I made up my mind even when Raila was alive that I'll exit ODM. A lot of my friends still have a lot of attachment to ODM. But I ask them, I look at them in the eyes and I tell them, this is not as difficult as what we faced with Raila on Ford Kenya, the party of Jaramogi. When the time came when all doors were closed, we left. So leaving ODM is not an issue to me. What is an issue to me is, do you carry the aspirations, the beliefs, the core values, the dream of Raila? If you have that with you, please get out and go and start a new movement and deliver on that promise. Don't waste time.
Are we looking at registering Linda Mwananchi as a political party, as a vehicle for 2027?
We have many options. You know, Azimio may just be the new coalition under a new name, rebranded with new members. And to get in there, you need a political party. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But what I can tell you, and tell our supporters, we are fully prepared for any eventuality. But engaging with those other people to support broad-based, that will not be our game. We are not there.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a call to action, of course, and the thoughts and minds of many people. Again, going back to the people of Kenya, is that there's a feeling that they've been let down over and over again. When the promises have been brought to them or the assurances have been put at their table, they're disappointed later. And so above anything, beyond selling hope, Kenyans are looking for an assurance that should they go in a particular direction, that they will not be met with the disappointment that they have been in the past. Is that something that can be assured?
I understand them. They've been heartbroken many times. The happiest time for Kenyans was 2002. In fact, the Global Happiness Index ranked Kenya as the happiest nation because of the unity that came with the NAC Rainbow Revolution, a new government. You know, people were shocked. You'd walk into government agencies, apply for a tender, get evaluated, and get it. Many people were getting shocked. Guys were arresting policemen, taking bribes. There was a lot of hope. We were so unlucky that President Kibaki was unwell at that time. And then the people who then got into positions of authority were guys who had never been with us as we were forming the coalition. They were provincial politicians. We didn't know them. But suddenly we had them. And they were not privy to the arrangements, the inner circle arrangements. And they gave us a very hard time. They broke that dream. They broke the hearts of many Kenyans. And that has happened. Yeah. And I understand. Yeah. But the assurance I can give Kenyans is that I think on Linda Mwananchi's side, and I know some even legacy politicians who are very genuine about their interest working for this country. But the hope we have is that there's a new generation. A generation that is, people may laugh at them when they say they are tribeless, leaderless, but they are. Yes, and that group of our children, I am sure they will hold us to account. Do you know how many members of parliament and how many leaders shout broad-based and their children are telling them one term? Very senior people in parliament. And they get shocked. And their children go for demos. And their children refuse to kowtow to them. They hold us accountable. You know, I tell people a story, this issue of corruption, how a friend of ours took his children to, our children were in a school and he brought his children there. And the students called the school administration and said, no, we don't want them here. And they were asked why. Said their dad has been charged with corruption. So the process of corruption are finding their way as school fees into our school. And this is not what you teach us. And they refused. They said, no, we don't want it. And they were being told, you know, the children are innocent. No, they said no, but their father will be coming for PTA.
And so there's an awareness.
Yes. So any politician who is thinking you can take Kenyans for a ride, I think you are taking yourself for a ride. Yeah.
He's a member of parliament for Suba South constituency, the Secretary General of Azimio, as well as the Linda Mwananchi spokesperson. Caroli Omondi, thank you for being here with us this morning. And we hope that it will not be too long a time before you come again.
Yes.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tembor. The National Treasury is proposing a major review of e-citizen transaction charges that could see Kenyans pay higher fees for accessing government services online. Under the proposed structure, charges will be based on the value of the service being paid for, with some users said to pay nearly double the current convenience fees. If approved, transactions above 100,000 shillings will attract a fee of up to 100 shillings, while payments between 10,000 and 99,000 shillings will incur a 70 shilling charge. Those paying between 500 and 9,999 shillings will be charged 50 shillings, while transactions ranging from 100 to 499 shillings will attract a 5 shilling fee. Services below 99 shillings will remain free. will remain free. The charges are expected to affect millions of Kenyans who use the platform for services such as passport applications, driving license renewals, business registration, NTSA services, and county payments. The Treasury says the review is aimed at streamlining digital payments and supporting the rising demand for online government services. DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua has claimed there is a mole within the united opposition, alleging the individual is working to create divisions in support of President William Ruto's re-election bid. Speaking in Murang'a County, Gachagua said President Ruto has allegedly placed operatives within the opposition to weaken the coalition ahead of next year's general election. He added that the move is intended to destabilize the alliance before the polls.
Mimi nataka niambie principles ya united opposition. Mkuwe very careful katika vyama vyenu, kwa sababu ndani ya vyama vyenu Kasongo ameweka watu huko ndani kuja kusambaratisha upinzani. Mimi nimejaribu kuambia nyinyi ya muziki. Jana nimeona kiongozi moja wa chama ambaye iko katika upinzani ameenda pale kwa TV kujaribu kuleta uhasama ndani ya viongozi ya upinzani.
Gachagua also maintained that he is capable of defeating President Ruto next year's general election.
Nikipima, nikiongea na wafuasi wangu mamilioni, nikiongea na Wakenya, wengi wanasema Rigiji apewe bendera akuwe sole presidential candidate ya kupigana na Kasongo. Wakisema ni mimi, haki ya Mungu, hii jamani nitamkimbiza kama baisikeli ya kuibiwa.
He further faulted President Ruto's recent visit to Tanzania, alleging it was aimed at countering potential youth-led opposition to his re-election.
Ameenda Tanzania benchmarking jinsi ya kuteka nyara na kuua vijana wa Gen Z. Nataka nikuambie Kasongo, Kenya hapana Tanzania.
Tunataka pia tumwambie kwamba ametuaibisha sana. Unaenda kutangaza kuhusu kiwanda kinachojengwa katika nchi jirani ya Tanzania hata kabla rais wa huko hajasema.
And Trans Nzoia County Assembly Deputy Speaker Obed Mahanga has faulted the national government for failing to allocate 10% of the national budget to agriculture as outlined in the Maputo Declaration of 2003. He also accused the government of imposing heavy taxes on farm inputs, saying this has raised production costs for farmers. Mahanga said high production costs remain a major threat to food security and called for the removal of taxes on agricultural inputs.
Tunapozungumzia mambo ya ukulima, hatuongelelei tu mambo ya mahindi peke yake. Na hata mimi nimeona katika NAF CDP kuna aspect ya value chain to ensure that mkulima wa kawaida anapata mazao mingi kusaidia wewe pia kukimu mahitaji yako ya kifamilia. We want absolute zero based taxation kwa zile farm inputs. Ukienda pale katika duka kununua ile tractor ambayo inauzwa, kama mkulima, kwa sababu unaenda kununua tractor ndio ulishe nchi yetu ya Kenya, hiyo tractor inafaa ikuwe bei ambayo imewekwa chini kabisa ili mkulima akuwe na uwezo wa kuzalisha.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembor.
Spice FM, Nairobi.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
members of parliament, they go to settle, they're just promised, they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used for everything and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They are being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Our conversations continue this morning, and just to be able to have mature conversation where you are saying, this is what is needed, this is how it's going to be done, these are the people that essentially are going to throw their hat in the ring to then be able to deliver it. And those are some of the things that we talk about this morning. And we're looking then into another issue that seems to have grabbed the nation by storm, but we're going to talk about it anyway. 9 minutes after 9 o'clock and into the final hour of the Situation Room this morning. And even as we talk, sometimes we see things happening before our eyes, but not understanding the method behind that particular madness. So today, we want to delve a little bit further into some of these things. We're looking at a few days ago when certain demolitions took place. Clearing the way. Safety versus property rights, as we're talking about this morning. Sylvia Kasanga is the president of the Architects Alliance, and she joins us this morning after a very long time. Good morning.
Good morning, Du.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
In what part of this Kenya have you been hiding?
I've been very busy in this very Kenya of ours.
Yes.
There's always something to be done.
But not loudly.
So much work.
Yeah.
Loud enough. Yeah, I guess loud enough. Maybe you have not had me because it's been a while since I was here.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm glad to be here after so long.
Thank you for coming. It's good to see you.
Yes.
You know, and of course, when you were serving as a senator, people didn't realize the other hats that you wore. And I guess that in these times, then that other plumage then comes out very clearly.
Absolutely.
You know, and we're glad that we can have this conversation with you because we see it, but we very rarely, scrutinize or interrogate a little bit more in terms of what could actually the problem be and how to solve it. So thank you for doing this morning.
Thank
Before
you so
we
much,
do, as you know, our Proverbs will need your interpretation.
Today we're in Eritrea,
okay.
Beautiful country. The capital, Asmara, is considered to be the little Rome due to its architecture.
Okay.
But that aside, they fought for 30 years with Ethiopians to gain independence. So that is 1993. But that notwithstanding, if you're planning to visit there anytime soon, just make sure you withdraw and have liquid cash.
You need to have cash.
ATMs don't work there.
Oh, wow.
If it's internet, forget about it. Connectivity is not good.
Yes.
But let's go to the proverb. And this one, it'll be interesting to you. The woman you make sacrifices for can turn around and tell you that she did not force you to, and she would not be wrong.
That brings back matters of mental health. You know, it's Mental Health Month.
Yes, it is.
This month, and I'm hoping you shall do quite a bit of work around mental health. It brings around that because it's about expectations and the complexities of human relations. We see this issue really affecting our teenagers today, the young adults in the universities, where you give love and you expect love back, you know, as if it is supposed to be actually given back. And that complex analogy that you should have no expectation of the other person, which is very difficult for us to grasp in our minds. You know, if I love you, there's an expectation that you will love me back, you know, and yet, you know, wisdom is suggesting that you should not have that expectation. For us who are Christians, you know, you do things for the greater glory of God, right? For the kingdom of God. You're not supposed to expect accolades and, you know, flowers from the human being. If they come, well and good, but you're not supposed to expect them. Your blessings come from the Lord for doing what needs to be done. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. You don't expect your neighbor to love you. You're doing it for the greater glory of God. So it's a mental health issue, this one. And I hope, in fact, you can write that in your social media and send it round to the young people.
You know, the only love that is true is agape love.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The one that you expect back.
Absolutely. That's a good one.
True.
That's a good one.
So do it good, but don't expect it back. Essentially. All right. So there's even as we look at some of the things that have been happening, our minds are cast back to a time when we read the stories of huge homes, property, then being demolished either to make way for infrastructure or to make way for the environment.
Absolutely.
Where houses, homes, property, you know, offices were built on riparian land.
Yes.
We're seeing the same thing and has happened over, you know, decades, and it's happening again. And so
sadly so.
True. Well, okay. Well, I think that your opinion has come through there. But property has come down in the last few days.
Yes.
And it has been a bit ugly in terms of how it has happened.
Yes.
But when we're saying safety versus property rights this morning, is there a fine line, or are the lines very clearly demarcated in terms of, if this is an area where one should not be building, then you should not cry the tears when, you know, the authorities bring it down?
And let me take it back a little bit. Last year, we were celebrating 15 years of our constitution, enactment of our Katiba at 15. I think that was the rallying call last year, Katiba at 15. And I did say in one platform that if the Katiba we have today was to, you know, to be judged or to be looked at in a physical form, you know, that which you can touch and see, then it would be the physical spaces in which we exist. That is the true telltale of how we have rolled out our Katiba. Right? How are our physical spaces? How is the town planning? How is our urban planning? How are rural towns? You know, how are the quality of the roads? It's not just about building a road, but how is that quality of the road? How is it serving us? What is the level of cleanliness? And these are the constitutional expectations, you know, the right to clean environment, you know, the fact that urban planning and land use and planning has been devolved to the counties and brought closer to the people. These are the expectations of Katiba at 15 that by now we have resolved and sorted out our physical environment such that it is serving us. I'll tell you today, and I've said this severally, I even said this if you remember, when we were doing our mental health campaigns that time. We take for granted the physical environment that we live in, and we don't realize what impact it has even on our mental wellness. Look at the pedestrian today, especially in these tough economic times. In the morning, you wake up, you see hordes of people walking from, whether it's Kawangware, whether it's, you know, from all those areas, they're walking right across town, maybe to industrial area where their jobs are. And look at how, you know, how dangerous it is for a pedestrian to just walk through the streets of Nairobi. You know, it's actually a matter of life and death. And imagine the stress within which that person is going to arrive at their place of work. Our physical environment is a complete embodiment of our constitution and the failures that you see happening, including the fact that you have people, you know, building on riparian, yet we have county governments that are the custodians of those land use plans. They're supposed to be enforcing such that we don't see such things happening. It's really a travesty. Now, the work that the Rivers Commission is doing is actually absolutely commendable, because riparian areas are completely protected by law, by constitution. You're not supposed to build on them. Even if your land title has a riparian going across it, it is not for you to use. The reason being, riparian is used by everyone downstream. You'll hear, you know, people in Makueni complaining about the quality of water. That quality of water starts here in Kirichwa River, that then goes to feed into the Athi River somewhere down the line. So everybody on that riparian has a duty to the human being who's down in Makueni, down all the way, Taita Taveta, all the way downstream. Those people also deserve very clean water. So really, when you're buying land, that is within, that has a riparian around it, there should be that realization that this space is not yours. It is for Kenyans. And the government has a duty to protect that.
Yeah.
But how do we find ourselves where we are? Now, let me bring this back again. The reason why, and this one we have tried to analyze hugely when we were discussing Katiba at 15. The reason why we find ourselves in a place where we can look at our physical environment and say, without a doubt, we have not rolled out the Constitution accordingly to the expectation of our physical environment, is because a lot of the rolling out that is happening, whether it is at county government or national government, there is a gap where professionals have been left out.
Okay.
Yeah. Professionals have been left out. And Dennis, my biggest advocacy work that I'm doing today is about the role of the architect. By the time you buy a plot of land, and this one, I want all our listeners to hear. Yes, your lawyer has done their due diligence, they've done their part and all that stuff. But please, even before you pay your down payment, can you get your architect also to look at that plot of land and tell you, these are the zoning requirements, you know? This is what the bylaw says. Your architect will be able to tell you, actually, this is riparian, the water lines will be marked up to this by WARMA, because WARMA is the one that marks flood levels, and tell you, actually, you cannot build beyond this. So I keep saying that if you don't involve your architect from the very, very, very early stage of even purchasing your land, you're missing a very significant point.
Yeah, Sylvia, you bring very critical submissions here, because for a very long time, we've looked at individuals who built on the riparian land, and it's been left at ignorance of the law is no defense. You know, you ought to have known. But there is also the flip side of things where I bought land fine, I constructed a building on it, and there were approvals throughout. I even had an architect, right, who supervised through the construction of these projects. So are we saying that there are individuals as well within the space who are letting Kenyans down knowingly? Because if I am to involve an architect from the word go, they would be able to advise me even before I buy that land, because they understand the bylaws, they understand all these things. So are there then individuals within the space as well who are just letting the profession down?
Yeah, bad apples are there. There are bad apples everywhere. And we are not... we don't mince our words at the Architects Alliance to call ourselves out for those who are bad apples and say, you're letting us down. We actually have architects who sell their stamp. So a lot of constructions that are going on here, you find that the person, I don't even know whether there's an architect supervising, but you may find that the person who actually submitted those drawings was not a registered architect. But they sought a stamp from a registered architect, because by law, you cannot submit, only an architect, a registered architect can submit drawings for approval. So we have that gap there, which is something we've really been trying to highlight to Kenyans to understand.
I'm sorry. Only a registered architect can submit drawings for approval.
Yes.
Yeah. This is county across the country.
All counties, 47 counties.
Okay.
Yes. But we have serious gaps there, because we do have bad apples, which we are calling out. Yeah. We are calling out our regulators also for not pulling out these bad apples or punishing them accordingly. And because of some of the legislative gaps that we have come across now, and we are seeing now, really, this architect who has been given so much responsibility has very little authority also, and we want to change the legislative environment of the architect and create, an act for creation of an institute for architects that can oversee regulation of the practice and the profession as well, so that we can begin to nib in the butt every. All these bad apples, we can begin to weed them out and also strengthen the legislative framework such that then the architect can get the commensurate authority when it comes to the amount of responsibility that actually an architect carries. Because really, the architect is a custodian of public safety when it comes to the physical buildings.
Yes.
Really, we are the ones who hold that responsibility. But the law does not give us that commensurate authority. I'll tell you right now, even the Physical Planning Act, Physical and Urban Planning Act, that one. There's no express provision that says anyone who wants to develop must, as a matter of must, use a registered architect. It's only implied. And we need to change that, because this is the reason we find ourselves in a lot of
Is it deliberate?
Problems.
Is the lack of clarity then deliberate? Because if you know that something could essentially get somebody in trouble later, the thought then is that from the very beginning, you would be very clear about what the recommendations, not just recommendations, what the requirements are for this process to begin. But if it's ambiguous, how do you then hold that against somebody later?
I wouldn't say it is deliberate. I would just say it was done when it was done. Maybe at that time architects were not there to, fight and push for it. But here we are now. We are saying now these ambiguous provisions need to be removed and we have clarity now in line with what we are seeing. Kenyans are having to pay a lot of costs to regularize, to get their property demolished, to make way for flood zones, And it is out of some of these, legislative areas that are not so clear. So that is part of the advocacy work that I have been busy doing right now. We have a lot of work to do around the physical environment.
Okay, so help us understand something. When a building is erected, it doesn't matter whether it's a commercial building or whether it is a personal building, somebody's home, estate, whatever, there needs to be approval, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So somebody is looking through everything that you have and then is telling you, and they don't just look at the building and the materials and whomever is on the project, they're looking at the land as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So if somebody builds on riparian land, for example, like the ones we saw that came down the other day, somebody gave approval for that to happen.
Yes. And sometimes when you hear the approving authority talk about it, they'll say, maybe that's not what they approved. I've seen some of such comments by approving authorities when they come on media, like they come here and they'll say, no, that is not what we approved. But what is being implemented is different. How did it change? Was there an enforcement that said stop construction? Some you see, they will say, yes, we have stopped construction, but it still goes on because maybe there's political interference. So there's a lot of issues we're having to grapple with. There's corruption, there's political interference, there's whatnot. But there are times when you have seen actually buildings being brought down. We've seen buildings being brought down that have been, you're on riparian, you have to come down. And we see them actually come down. We have seen that happen in this country before. Why others are able to come up and not be brought down is a question of either political interference or corruption. Somewhere in the value chain.
So how do you apply balance? Because it provides a case for anybody that will probably hold up in any court of law when it says, how do you apply this to me and then not to another person? Because we all got the approval somewhere down the line, whether you remember that this was riparian land or not, or whether then the thing comes up for you to create space for flood passage and all of that. How does somebody now say, or how do you now create the balance for this person who's gone through unimaginable loss after they finished their house? They've taken pictures, they've sent to everybody. How do you then say, well, it's coming down? Because the blanket destruction of this property is not asking questions. The brutality of this process doesn't stop to ask, who approved? Let me see the document. Who told you that you can go ahead? Those questions are not asked.
It's interesting, because the failures we are seeing around the physical environment are now manifesting in the fact that we have to go to court for physical. Now courts are the ones who are running the physical environment, unfortunately. So there's been now a lot of jurisprudence around these issues of demolitions and the riparians. And if we are going to fall back first to the law, what does the law say? Or what does jurisprudence say? What have the courts determined? And one of the clear things is that riparian land must be protected. That goes without saying. However your approvals were procured, however, whoever, supervised your work, whether it was on riparian land, that now becomes absolutely secondary. The first thing is that riparian land must be protected. Then the second thing that the courts have been particularly clear about is now how is the regularization going to happen? Yes, we find ourselves in a situation where you have been marked. This is in the riparian. Yes, it was approved, it was everything. There has to be serious consultations that should happen to bring this person into proper awareness that, unfortunately for you, this is a big loss. This one has to go. There are a few other instances where maybe the government is actually trying to acquire some of your land that is in the riparian. That's a different scenario where maybe compensation may be due in such a scenario. So there's a the government now, like Nairobi Rivers, when they're doing what they're doing, there has to be absolute clarity and clear communication to the people. Because the one fact must remain clear to Kenyans. Riparian land has to be protected because it doesn't belong to one person. Secondly, if the government is expanding areas, then that's a different scenario. There has to be a lot of public participation. When you're removing people, like we saw in Gikomba, the kind of, consultations you have to have with Kenyans so that they can understand, actually, we need to move you from here because we need to pass this thing here for a flood zone or whatever. Then there must be very clear communication. So even the courts have been clear about that. They've been clear in how to recover some of these things, where compensation is due, and due process must be followed at all times. So as to whether that is what the government is doing is now the question, is now the issue. But there's no debate as to whether riparian land, must be recovered or not. It must be recovered.
I want to look at, in this entire conversation then, whenever a project is coming up, it's not just the architect that we look at. We have the QCs, we have the engineers, everybody who will make sure that this project comes up. But there is the regulation aspect of it. Who then regulates an architect if under the law, QCs and architects are together? So in the bill that you're talking about, the Architects Bill of 2026 seeks to remove everybody so that everyone is regularized individually. What would that do to save the problem that we see today?
Public safety, yeah? So first, the current regulations around the architect, our regulator is the Board of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors. They're called BORACs. We call them BORACs.
Yes.
So they only regulate the architect and the quantity surveyor. The engineers are regulated by the Engineering Board of Kenya, which is a separate body. And then we have other regulators. There's NCA, which regulates contractors. Technologists have KETREB, which, so we have all these regulators in the space, yeah? So for architects, one, we don't need to be regulated together with quantity surveyors. Different levels of responsibility. Again, I say the architect has a sole responsibility towards public safety by nature of the profession and the technicality of the profession. Now, to answer your question, what does this bill do to bring now the safety that then we don't see? Number one, we want to, I don't like to use the word self-regulation, but it is more like a peer-to-peer sort of thing. Dennis, you're an architect, I'm an architect, right? You're doing the wrong thing. You come before a panel of your fellow architects to punish you or to discipline you or to, like what LSK does, right? It has absolutely a lot more impact. Then the penalties that are attached to one who has been declared that you have made a mistake here are high, punitive enough. Yeah, you'll see something like 5 million even for selling your stamp, because it's the worst thing you can do. That's how you expose human beings. That's how you expose Kenyans, to lack of safety, because you're selling your stamp. The very authority that you have been given to secure Kenyans, you can dish it out with very little money, of 50,000. I tell you, they sell their stamps for very little money. 100,000, 50,000, and maybe what is coming up is a 2 billion worth of a project that is coming up. It's a really wrong thing to do. So there's that aspect where we bring in the peer-to-peer sort of regulating one another, checking one another, having checkers, having whistleblowers, having all those things. But more importantly is looking inwardly as well. More capacity building, bringing ourselves to present requirements of what an architect is required to be in this day and age. And also in full recognition that we have very many young architects who are coming on board. A talk we had just the other day, UNESCO and other global statistics will say that, for a population of, to serve a population properly, you need one architect for, say, 1,000 citizens.
Okay.
Right? So this is roughly the statistics. But in Kenya today, where we have a population of about 55 million, you find that one architect is serving between 35,000 to 45,000 Kenyans. So we are really, not training enough architects, because technically there is no structure that should come up without the involvement of an architect. And I mean any structure, even in the rural areas, we underestimate the fact that even if it is a madhouse,
yes,
it can be properly designed and supervised within the capacity of that person using an architect.
Why do you think people are not engaging the expertise of architects, regardless of the structure that's being put up, regardless of where?
There's no express requirement by law. There's no express requirement anywhere by law. And that's why people are able to go around us. Then there's also that mentality that we are elitists. There's a mentality that architects, elitists, we belong only to serve the middle class. That is completely unfortunate. No, we are not expensive. You see, that's not what they say. They say, architects are expensive, we can't. No, we price based on the project. There's no expense there. You're pricing for the project based on the project. So there's no expense there. It's expertise that you're bringing in, right? But this mentality, Kenyans, we need to remove this mentality. The reason why our cities, our towns, our rural areas are looking the way they look is because there's no expertise. It's because Kenyans, it's become a free-for-all sort of market, which we need to capture in the spirit of our constitution to bring it back into some sanity, to bring back some sanity. You drive here Mlolongo, it's a nightmare. Look at Pipeline, it's a nightmare. I want to assure you that most of those did not have a registered, trained architect who worked on all those structures. Yeah. The other day you had an NCA relied, I think, on a report that was done by the National Building Inspectorate that was suggesting that over 80% of buildings that they inspected, I think 23,000 buildings that they had inspected were not fit. Again, I want to assure you, a trained architect of capacity, even for our own reputation, it is in my interest to see something done from the beginning to the very end until we hand over the keys that is done properly. I just don't design, I supervise. I manage the contract. That is the training. And that is why the responsibility is heavy on an architect. Yeah? But you'll find Kenyans, we are going round architects in the pretext that we are expensive. And that is not true. We are training, it's very expensive to train an architect in Kenya today. We have 5 universities training Kenyans. Can we really make use of them? Yeah. We have now almost 500 architects coming out of university every day. We need to absorb them, we need to use their expertise, and we need to change our physical environment and change that mentality. The other thing that the Act is going to change, it's been a bit contentious because at the moment, under the current Act, there's a prescription of what our fees should be, which I think is what deters a lot of Kenyans. Yeah, because it's a fixed fee. And
it's a percentage of the cost of something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a percentage, yes. Okay. I'm not sure how these percentages were arrived at. But we look at how lawyers do what they do with their remuneration orders that then are published almost on an annual basis, and we say maybe this is the direction we need to take, rather than straitjacketing ourselves into a space that you cannot maneuver based on the current situation in the country. Maybe this is the direction we need to take so that we can be also more accommodating to Kenyans, and we can get commensurate compensation for the work that we do, the different levels of work we do. Those who are working in the rural areas, those who are working in the cities, there's commensurate, pay and services that are then given to Kenyans. So there's that aspect also that we are looking at critically that needs to change and align with the modern times.
So I want to bring you to conversations around city planning or even estate planning. And I want to pick your brain on how Nairobi is supposed to look like if we used registered architects to help in planning the city. You just mentioned about pipeline, and with where we sit today, many are saying even the Kilimanis of today are just turning out to be bougie pipelines because of what is happening.
Absolutely.
So what does an architect bring on the table when it comes to planning a city that is modern and that serves everybody? Because remember, we're talking about safety. You walk in some estates today, in Eastleigh you would walk, and we've heard of stories of individuals who've been hit by rocks that are coming from buildings up top. what does an architect bring to having areas where we live to be safe, to be sustainable for the future?
And beautiful and good for our mental health. As we have seen in other cities. We've seen lots of cities, beautiful cities. Now, first, let me just say that architects, we don't work on our own. Of course, we don't work alone. We don't work in a silo. We work with teams. We work with other professionals, right? So we are clear about that. When it comes to physical planning, and this I need to say it very carefully because I don't want my fellow planners who we work very closely with to get offended. But the architect brings the third dimension. What we are taught in school is a third dimension. A lot of planning is a two-dimensional. You're looking at X and Y. If you remember your X and Y, then the architect comes with a Z that goes up. So when you sit down to city plan, planners must have an architect who brings that third dimension. Yes, we are saying, let us zone in this way. But the architect will come and say, in terms of 3D, what will this look like? Here they'll be high, these ones will be low, this will be too tight, we need wider. You know, those conversations then can happen. There are cities that are built by professionals who are both urban planners and architects, because that happens. There's an aspect of urban planning as we go through architecture school. And there are those who finish their first degree and then they go and major in urban planning. So you find that they have, you know, a hybrid of both. And they make very good city designers and planners, because now they have that aspect of the 2D and the 3D. Like you'll see in Singapore, for instance, some of the people who designed cities like Singapore, Paris, beautiful Paris, you'll find an architect who has that urban planning. So the two must come together. You cannot just design on the two dimension. You have to look at the third dimension. That's why we end up with places like Mulolongo, because all you have is plots. Yeah? The planner has done his part. It is just plots. But when those plots were being, what we say, katwa, yeah? Was there somebody to look at what is the impact in the third dimension if we say we are going to kata and these are all urban plots? So everyone will come and put up a tower. What will that look like? Right? Then you have to bring in environmentalists and others. This has to be a full team. It can never be one person. You have to bring a full team. Look at planning, say, around Mavoko area in Machakos, where you find an industry sitting right next to an estate, where there are children growing up, you know, their mothers growing up. You have an industry that is, you know, bellowing black smoke at night, and right next to it, there's an estate. How do we come into this, you know, into this situation? Again, I'll tell you, because part of our work as architects is to also analyze users. Usability. Those are areas we can sit and say, no, this cannot happen. There has to be a buffer in here, and we debate about it. So the architect's contribution is very significant when it comes to city planning. Absolutely significant. Yes. Mostly the third dimension part of it.
So
is what,
when you look at, I mean, closet areas of a metropolis, so you have the city itself, and then of course you have the closet areas. I mean, Nairobi, very clear what you have. Nairobi, you're looking at Syokimau, Mlolongo, you're looking at Ruiru, you're looking at Kiserian, Gong, right? And they're they're still mushrooming. But it would seem as though you need it. Even Nairobi itself, the planners have told us that if it had followed the plan, then perhaps Nairobi would not be looking the way it's looking today. So how do you say that you're planning for cities, even future cities, if you're not even following the original plan? And then to take into consideration populations that are growing. It doesn't matter what you say, they will grow. And that the growth of the population has to be followed by a proper planning, because what are you going to do? Here we have sanitation issues with lack of sewage, not improper sewage, lack of sewage. There are people who had to put up, they didn't care, they just wanted sewage. Here in Kitengela, 40 million shillings, they put it together by themselves. Others in other places, they're putting up homes, they don't know what the plan is for sewage, but they know that they need to. There are what are those things called? Biodigesters. They're all over the place.
Yes.
People are just putting up things for themselves.
Yes.
So the question is here, how do you develop properly? Here we are saying you need an architect, you need a planner, you need an environmentalist. The person who gets there 50 by 50, or is it that 80 by 40, whatever it is today, is not thinking about those professionals to come and sort the thing out for themselves. They're thinking, I am not paying rent another day in this place. I have my plot. I have the guy who can build. I have to move out. Even if we'll build one room, we move, then we continue building later. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
They are not thinking. There's no rule.
Yeah.
Right now, there's no rule. The rule come into play when now this beautiful structure has been put up and they say, all right, hello, Mr. Man, thank you very much. Songa kidogo, tomorrow is coming down. You see what I'm saying? The rules apply after the fact. But like you said, you've given examples to other developed areas whereby before you lay one brick, you know this is what we are going to do. This is the person that you must bring in to help you. Why is it difficult to have the reverse enacted?
Dan, we ask ourselves that question a lot, even in our own spaces. You see, Konza City is really a model where the government must first go in and lay all the infrastructure, put down the roads, put down the sewer lines, put down this. You've already designed it, you know it will hold a population of X. So you design around that. You zone it properly. You say schools will be on this side, housing will be on this side, whatever will be on this side. Proper planning, right? Make sure all the infrastructure is in. Anyone coming in, you're coming literally to plug and play because the infrastructure is there. That is how ideally things should happen. But many times in our country, the amenities and the infrastructure follow Kenyans when they've already settled. That's what you're saying. They follow Kenyans when they've already settled, which is really unfortunate. And this needs to change. And this is truly a failure of planning. And the fact that we are not really planning for the future. You're right about that. We are not planning adequately for the future. Now, we have messed up. We have not followed the plans that were laid before 2014. New plan was not followed. There are no plans that have been done. Now is when the county is running ahead to try and do the local development plans. I think you're aware now, Westlands, I don't know where else they're starting to do. Okay. Because I'm an optimist, I'll say it's never too late. Now we have to regularize, work around what we have, and see how best then can we make the city livable. What changes must come without hurting people and their developments? It's a very tough question to ask. What kind of investment then does the government have to do to make sure it is servicing the current developments that are there? Clearly, you cannot stop a city from developing. It looks like you can't really stop. And even the jurisprudence today, the courts are now saying, no, we are not going to stop that development. You know, residents' associations are going to court and saying, you need to stop this development. We won't get light, it's hurting us. And the courts are saying, no. And the court is even going as far as determining, instead of 21 levels, you build 17 levels or something like that. Right? Now we are seeing it's happening. Up until the appeal court is saying, no, you're not giving us enough reasons as to why we should stop this development. So development is going to happen whether we like it or not. What now the governments should be telling us, what Nairobi County should be telling us, and all the other county governments, is then what are you going to do to make sure you're going to service all this population that is now here? We are densifying very rapidly. How are you going to service these buildings that are going to come? How are we going to install new sewer lines? Does it mean then we get specialized technology that will come and bore in the ground, underground completely? Is it time now even to think about underground railway lines for moving people around? I think even the other modern cities had to reach that place where they say it's time to get our act correct. So it's never too late.
I hear what you're saying. But the problem is that even if it's never too late, where is the consciousness? And if we saw it, it would play out in the different departments that then are mandated to do certain things. Where is the consciousness that these things will happen? It's not a matter of will they happen, will people have more children, will people then have a better economic outlook, will then they be able to move? It's not a matter of if it'll happen, it will happen.
It is happening.
The person who is living in a 3-bedroom apartment today has not always done that. The person who's living in a mansion tomorrow has not always done that.
Correct.
They have progressed.
Absolutely.
But I'll give you an example. The flood, the rain came. As a result of that, there was flooding. Tell me why that a swamp area that begins not at the airport, that begins probably all the way down from Nairobi River, coming in from Okoh, stretches all the way well into Mlolongo swampland. You should not build on swampland.
Yes.
But we have apartments untold all the way from after the airport through towards the end of Mlolongo. The rain came, people were swimming, and it was not a swimming pool.
Absolutely.
But guess what? The rain has gone, it is now dry, and then we forget about it.
We'll forget about it and move on. That kind of awareness that you're talking about, in my view, will happen the day Kenyans will elect leaders who have that awareness. Because you see, we grapple out here. We are not in the leadership. We are here fighting this fight. And we'll constantly fight it. You'll find architects who will constantly fight it. Today it's Sylvia. Tomorrow there'll be a younger one who will come into my space. Another one will come into my space, because they have that kind of consciousness that you're talking about. But the leaders we elect, do they have that consciousness? You know, is it so bad to say that the person, the governor who leads Nairobi, should have some physical planning or, built environment awareness? Is it so wrong for us to say that and declare as Nairobians that this is what our governor should have, or demonstrate that capacity? Because this city needs to function. As you're saying, it needs to function. The population will only increase. And unless we start devolving some functions from Nairobi itself, so that we now extend other capital city functions to go into other cities to allow other cities also to grow, this remains the center. This is the heartbeat of the country. So everyone will want, a lot of Kenyans will want to keep coming to Nairobi, as you can see.
Yes.
Right now, Thika Road is already outdated in terms of volume.
Yes.
You can't handle. Me, I use Mombasa Road. It's been a nightmare. All our lives, Mombasa Road has never been adequate for purpose. Yeah, it's worse now. The expressway has made people now, build more, move out. But coming into the city is a complete nightmare, So even those, the benefits that the expressway brought, now we are beginning even to wonder, because to get to the expressway where it starts in Mlolongo is a complete nightmare. So there's, in my view, leadership is so critical. When we are talking about rolling out our Katiba to enhance our physical environment, cleanliness and things like that, if the leader that you are electing does not have that kind of awareness, then how will he prioritize it? His priorities will be in other places. And then we get to miss out on some of these critical areas, and we are all suffering.
You talk about these things because in my neck of the woods, there's an individual who brought up a building, and what they did was to block a drainage. So when the rains came, the road became the drainage, and what that has left is potholes on end. And guess who was supervising that? It was a Kanjo Askari who was there on a daily basis. But this is what we're talking about, because having a structured city or a beautiful city is not only just for show. It is where we live. It is where we raise our children. It is where we go to church. It is places where we go to unwind. In Nairobi today, if you want to go to a park, where do you go to? You have to leave Mlolongo to go to Uhuru Park. Absolutely. Because we do not have these spaces. And amenities have also been overrun by, again, poor leadership that have not protected spaces that our children ought to go play football, where we ought to go swimming, because the leadership has not thought about this. Because the Singapore we talk about today, I was seeing a colleague of mine went to Singapore. From her hotel, she would see in the middle of the CBD. From her hotel, she would go run in a park in the middle of the city and go back to hotel.
Yes.
All that is what makes humanity, makes all of us be sane in an environment where it is fast-paced and continuously moving. But that notwithstanding, as architects now, as individuals who understand the importance of having all these, how do we push this conversation to ensure Mwananchi understands, but that the political class, the leadership there is, understand the importance of having cities that are built for the future that we can also enjoy today?
This thing of leaders, I keep telling my fellow professionals, you guys, we have to roll up our sleeves and get into that space. We should stop joking. We should actually, we owe it to Kenyans to roll up our sleeves and get into that space and not leave it for others who we say we have to now teach them and everything. Last parliament, How much did we talk about mental health? Are there no parliamentarians right now in parliament to speak about mental health? Considering now there's a serious clawback to the, to the strides we had made in the last parliament. Serious clawback on the mental health space. You cannot say they are not aware. But maybe if you had some serious mental health people right now sitting in parliament, they would be now busy putting the government to check. They are the representatives of the people. I say the same. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's get into these spaces. Let's get our governor, an architect, to be the governor of Nairobi, and why not? Or a planner to be a governor of Nairobi. Why not? He understands. He's in the awareness of what the city needs, to function effectively. We need to roll up our sleeves. And that is really the rallying call. We cannot leave others. Why not? Just because you're professionals doesn't mean we cannot be in this space, go into the political space. We have to be ready to go into the political space. And for those professionals who are already in the in the political space, because we do have some professionals in some of those spaces, they have to remember that the electorate is not just the people who have elected them from where they come from. Even them in their duty as a professional, you have more work to do. You can hold the government to task, not just over the constituents who elected you, but also over the matters of your own career, of your own profession. You can hold the government accountable, and you must. It is your duty. Yeah. So we have work to do as architects. Whether we are out here in the profession, we have a duty to Kenyans. And we have to have that duty and do it with the diligence and the care that is required of us to protect Kenyans. We must also get into those political spaces, because then we can go and extend our duty by being in the governance space. If we are at all, we are going to realize, our full constitution the way we speak about it. Our constitution is not just the governance we keep talking about, the politics, and the leadership, and of course budgets and everything. There's also the physical space that needs to be realized the way the constitution, promised us. A clean environment, That right to a good, safe structure is part of the constitutional promise. And we as architects are trained to make sure that happens. We are the ones who should be actualizing that part of the Katiba. So whether we actualize it from outside as professionals, where we are functioning, we have that duty of care to Kenyans. Then we get into those governance spaces and continue with our duty of care while we are in parliament or in our spaces of leadership. I am a very strong believer that professionals all professionals across must roll up their sleeves and get into that space. That which we say is murky, is terrible, we need to get in there. And it need not remain murky and terrible. We can get in there, and slowly by slowly we begin to change change the space.
Do you think that, let's just go back to buildings now, do you think that buildings that have been built on lands which they shouldn't be built on should be brought down?
It's a yes and no. There's a lot of analysis that first needs to go there. So,
riparian land, for example. Your previous statement was that riparian land is riparian land, it should not be built on.
Riparian land, especially, like I said, that water that passes through there is not yours only. It belongs to a lot of Kenyans that are downstream. All right? There are circumstances, I think, and the courts have spoken clearly about it. There are circumstances when, yes, maybe a structure may need to be saved, and there are circumstances when there is no conversation. Yes. And it all depends on how the approach is going to be.
Is that approach, does it take into consideration those applicabilities? Or because it seems like what we see is you have an X on the building, and they give you a notice. Are they taking into consideration the circumstances under which it would be a yes and the circumstances under which it would be a no? Or does the thing have to come down by order of whomever?
No. There has to be due process. And the courts have been very clear that there has to be due process at any one time. If you've hosted the Nairobi Rivers Commission, people, if you haven't, you need to. Because they will tell you, and this one I know because I engage with them, I know that they have to go through that due process. They have to look at all the circumstances. They have to engage the citizen who's being affected significantly. They have to engage with them. Things like walls, boundary walls, whatnot, temporary structures, those ones are not even up for conversation. The ones that now become very dicey are like now the apartments. But if the thing is causing a damming effect, that is obviously going to flood and create, a disaster and cause harm, then that one is something that has to be seriously discussed with a view to probably bring it down, if it must be brought down. Yes, if it's in a riparian and it must be brought down, then it must be brought down. But you see, all the circumstances must be looked at together with the person who is going to face that injury.
I want to ask you a question, and I'm just comparing this with what you see out there. If you look at other jurisdictions, if you go to a place like Denmark, you find riverine property is very expensive because of the views and all that. And that happens in all these developed democracies. You look at France as well. It's all the way to the river,
right? Up to the river.
All the way up to the river.
Even London is the same way.
Are we able to have such discussions such that it is planned on what we are doing by the river so that we take advantage of the resources that we do have? Are those conversations that we are ready to have as a people?
I think it happened, in fact, in Uhuru's government, because these conversations actually started in Uhuru's time.
Yep.
I think they tried to get to reclaim the riparians, and there was quite a bit of pushback.
Yep.
I think this government is one now that has actually started rolling out those projects, but the last government actually tried, and that was one of the conversation for discussion as to why can't we build like London and allow building up to here. But I think in the end we have to admit the historical. You always have to first come from the history of the city, and this one the planners will tell you that having been already designated generally as a flood zone and a city that was placed in a place that should not have been placed from the word go, then requires our approach probably to be very different. I think that is my understanding, which I have come to accept. By the way, I have come to accept that you cannot stop natural resources from moving the way they are meant to move. They will come for you.
Mother Nature
will come for you. If that flood zone was marked here, and you have not taken care of it, I don't know from which angle or which angle, it will definitely happen. So in this Nairobi, the sooner we can sort that out, the better, in the best way possible that we can. And we have to rely now on the resources that we have, the experts that we have.
In your view, are we likely to continue swimming more based off construction that has happened? We know we cut a lot of trees, green spaces no longer exist in the city. Is this problem likely to continue?
If at all the issues of climate change, which now I think are what are truly affecting us, if they persist, then we shall swim a little bit more by the time we get it right.
There sounds like there's a case to be made for professionals to get into the positions whereby they will influence a lot of these decisions. And that's where the balance then between politics and policy then plays out.
Absolutely.
Sylvia Kasanga is the president of the Architects Alliance, also former senator. And from her words, then you're probably going to see her on a ballot near you sometime.
I will not comment.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. Of course, some pertinent issues brought out to the fore, and that's why we talk. Because we must. Asante sana, and we're looking forward to the next time, of course. Thank you, everybody, for being here this morning. The Situation Room has gone through a myriad of issues today, and we continue doing them for us to be aware of some of these matters so that we can make informed choices into the future. Good morning, 10 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news wire. I'm Sheila Tembur. Road accidents in the country could reduce following the introduction of modern AI-powered transport tracking systems that monitor drivers and vehicles in real time. The system detects risky behavior such as speeding, phone use while driving, driver fatigue, and failure to wear seatbelts, while alerts sent directly to transport managers for immediate action. According to Nebsam Digital Solutions, the technology is also being used in school buses through facial recognition cameras to enhance the safety of children. Company Director Samuel Kanini said the system is designed to reduce accidents caused by human error and improve accountability among drivers.
Ni kitu inasaidia dereva wakati yamelala, inapatia alert the back office, na pia dereva pale inapatia warning. Kama dereva ni mlevi, inamwambia dereva ni mlevi na inapatia back office. Kama dereva ni mchofu, kianza kufanya warning, kama hajafunga safety belt inamwambia. Na kama gari unapata saa zingine wenye kampuni walikuwa naenda hasara kubwa sana, kwa sababu ulikuwa unapata dereva anapatia conductor ile gari na hana ile uzoefu ile gari, yeye anaenda kupumzika. Ile gari ikifanya accident, dereva anarudi pale na anasema ni alikuwa na gari. Kamera tunaweka hii video telematics, iko na face recognition, inaweza jua mwenye anafaa kuwa na hiyo gari.
At the same time, transport operators are adopting digital fuel tracking systems to curb fuel theft and cut operating costs amid rising fuel prices.
Ile drop inatumika ya mafuta, anaweza jua imeenda kilomita ngapi. Kama for example unaweza jua lita moja inaenda kilomita ngapi. Kama sasa hii mafuta imekuwa bei ghali sana, so utaweza kugeji kujua hii kazi nimepewa, hii mafuta yangu itanisaidia kiasi gani, itaenda kilomita ngapi gari ikiwa imebeba na ikiwa imebeba.
Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mungai has accused former State House Chief of Staff Nzioka Waita of spreading propaganda against Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka. Mungai claimed Waita is using Kalonzo's name to justify his decision to join the ruling UDA party led by President William Ruto. He challenged Waita, who is seeking the Machakos gubernatorial seat, to prepare to face the incumbent governor Wavinya Ndeti of the Wiper Party in the next year's general election.
Nasema Nzioka Waita kwanza. Huwezi kuja hapa ukuje kusema ati Wiper haitakuwa na free